3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Juicecast. Today, we're going to be tackling The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This is very last minute, so it's not like the normal Juicecast episodes. This is kind of off the cuff. We have a little bit of an outline ready to go, but really, a couple of us just finished up the game, and we're on the brink of playing Tears of the Kingdom, so I kind of want to get these thoughts out here with everyone before we head into that game tomorrow. You know, it is 7:30 p.m. EST, the day before Tears of the Kingdom releases, and with me today I have Friedrich, or Lux and Tux, and Craftis. So you guys can introduce yourselves. Why don't you start, Lux and Tux? You're new on the podcast.
What's up? I am Lux and Tux. I go by Fred, and I am a new streamer.
Yes, you are. You've been doing great.
Just finished yesterday. It was great. I loved the game.
And how about you, Craftis?
Well, I mean, yeah, hi, hello, I go by Craftis. The last time I played Breath of the Wild was like, I want to say a couple of years ago. I played it on release day, and then the DLC came out. I played through all of that. That was pretty cool. Still mad that you didn't get to do that, so...
Yeah, I know. I got through some of the DLC, but I wasn't able to actually complete it, unfortunately.
You didn't get to the best part of it.
I know, I didn't.
So mad.
I didn't get to the end of the Champions Battle. It was so long. The second wave of it was way longer than I thought it was ever going to be.
You just did a whole stream up until Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Be up until 11:30 p.m. before I drive over to my local GameStop. You're right.
Exactly.
You're right. By the way, we will be interacting with chat as well because this is a live Juicecast, which we don't normally do anymore. But if you guys have questions for anyone, feel free to ask them or add to the discussion. And equally, in the YouTube comments, follow along, leave timestamps, and let me know what you guys thought about the things that we're talking about. And I definitely read it all and interact with it, so keep that in mind.
I'm gonna grab the chat. Okay, I got the chat up.
Yeah, let's keep the chat up. What's my favorite color? What's your favorite color, Carissa? My favorite color is bittersweet. It's FF6A6A, the brand color of the juice box.
Bittersweet.
That's the name of the color. It's bittersweet. I think it's a beautiful name.
I couldn't even tell you what my favorite color is. Jeez. Switches every week.
I feel that. Would I say that Zelda Breath of the Wild...
and it came up with a bunch of different oranges.
Interesting. Well, oh well. Would I say
brand.
Breath of the Wild is one of the games of all time? Most certainly.
That is for a fact. It is one of the best games. One of the games, sorry.
Yeah, one of the games. We will actually answer the favorite character thing when we get to it in the story, so thanks for bringing that up. Speaking of which... I guess let's talk about our personal history with the game. I guess I'll start off on this one, because I think I have a unique experience with the game that I don't know how many people are going to relate to, right? But I started playing the game in 2018. It was shortly after it released when I got my Nintendo Switch. My friend Aiden... who has actually been on the podcast before, Aiden Kopek. He's on the DDLC episode. Definitely go watch that if you're into that game. Let me borrow the game. I still have his copy. It's actually the one. Yes, I'm a thief. It's actually been the one that I've been playing all this time. So there's that.
What a thief, bro.
Yeah, I'm definitely a thief. But yeah, so I started it in 2018, and back then, and for the last 4 years, what I would do is I would pick it up, I would play it for a little while, and then I would just put it down, because I got bored. And I think the reason for this was because, first of all, I was working full-time. I've been working full-time since I was, 18 years old, so... And I've had the side hustles where I'm trying to make something like this work, or working on, Craftis Legacy, which is a game that Craftis and I were developing together, for example, or making music, or, owning a Smash Chord, which takes responsibility too, taking care of the house and all this other stuff, where it felt like I just never had the time to actually sink my teeth into the game. And because of that, it never held my interest. And it would be this thing where I would play it for a little while, and then I would just put it down, and then, a year later or 9 months later, I would pick it up again. And it's not like I never didn't enjoy what I was playing. It was just that it didn't captivate me enough to stop doing everything else that I was doing, because those responsibilities, one, took precedence over playing the game, but two, there wasn't enough keeping me going, I guess. And I think that has a lot to do with how the story is told, which we'll get into later, because I very much enjoyed the exploration aspects of the game every single time I picked it up. There was just nothing to pull my heart into the direction of the story, which I guess is...
You didn't get into the flow of the game yet.
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it, right? That's definitely a big part of it. And I don't know if anyone else shares that experience with me.
Same experience.
Yeah. So once I actually got to sink my teeth into the game and go through the story for what it is and how the game is designed, which we'll get into soon, I ended up really, really enjoying it. Who wants to go next? I think that's kind of my history with the game.
I'll go next. I had a very similar experience as you did. I picked it up, I think it was the summer of 2018. I think that was the same year as you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I picked it up July 18th that year. I remember the date because I went to go pick up my Switch the same day.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoyed the beginning part of the game, but it felt very repetitive. And after, I think, 2 weeks, I was like, it's okay. The story is really not captivating me. My heartstrings aren't being pulled in any which way. So I think I'm just going to stop playing and just play more Super Smash Bros.
I feel that.
Until a month ago. And then you kind of pushed me into the idea of maybe streaming it. And I was like, does sound kind of good. That does sound kind of good. And I just loved it ever since. I think the communal aspect of the game, the community on stream, helping me out, giving me little hints, just made the game come to life for me personally. I think that was my favorite part so far.
And I think, speaking of that, which we'll probably get into a little bit later too, but I think that's kind of the spirit of Zelda in general, which is why maybe it felt like it sparked something in you there, because when you think of games like the original Legend of Zelda and games like this, there's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't know unless you looked at a guide or you played with someone else or you got a playground room or stuff like that all comes into account when it comes to Zelda, right? So I think having that communal aspect, like you were saying, definitely plays a part to the enjoyment of the game. How about you, Craftis?
I used to have the books for the Twilight Princess guide.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
That's sick. I wish I had those.
My experience with the game, I don't know. When I first got it, I was pretty excited because obviously it was the new Zelda game, and the Switch was so new that I just started it when I got home. It didn't take me too long to kind of get into the groove of the game. It was a little different at first, obviously, because big first open world game that I've really played. Hadn't really played too much of those prior, so I didn't have a lot of experience with how am I gonna navigate throughout the world and go to all these different places when I don't have a lot of materials or equipment or anything at the beginning of the game. So that was definitely something that was very interesting to have to deal with, because usually Zelda games, they kind of they hold your hand a little bit at the beginning to get you started, and then they kind of ease out of the training wheels once you actually start to get to the meat and potatoes of the game. But Breath of the Wild kind of wasn't like that. It was very much okay, the opening cutscene plays, they kind of they teach you what buttons do what, and you kind of make your way out to the Great Plateau, and then you're on your own. from jump. So you kind of just have to navigate however you manage, I guess. And that was it was fun. It was definitely fun. As for like the narrative, unlike most people, I kind of didn't really mind the way that it was going or being handled. Obviously, I wish it was a little bit more, like linear, you could say. But I don't know. My experience was very much a pleasant one from start to finish. To where once I was done, I was very sad. And then they announced DLC, and I was like, "Oh, cool! We might get post game." And then we didn't. And then it was just more context for a story that I had already seen, but it was still cool.
Yeah. Speaking of the Great Plateau and the way that the game tutorializes things, I guess we can now make our way into the gameplay section of this. I think that there's a reason why the Great Plateau goes down as probably the best tutorial section in a video game. Or not like definitively the best, but is up there for one of the best, tutorializations of a video game ever. It does a beautiful job of teaching you everything you need to know through exploration. It is the most hand-holdy that the game is ever, the entire time you're ever playing it, with the old man kind of telling you have to do these 3 or these 4 shrines to get your runes. You're learning how they work. And then you get the paraglider and you're kind of on your own. But right off the bat, I'm pretty sure we start off with you being able to interact, learning that the A is your interact button because you have to go do whatever you do with the Sheikah Slate. You can throw the boxes, throw those barrels and whatnot. You notice that there are boxes. You start, as soon as you start running, that whole hallway up until you go to that ledge that you can climb takes up a full stamina bar, like the full wheel. So it teaches you that, if you were to happen to do that, it's after this, right? Mm-hmm. But it's still telling you that, once your stamina runs out, you're not really able to do much. It makes sure that you know how to climb, because you have to climb in order to get out. Yeah. And then, so that's what it is. It's like from there, after that climbing section, if you hold the B button, your stamina runs out by the time you exit the cliff. That's another little thing. I think that's a cool addition. And then you get that beautiful panning shot with the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild showing up in the bottom right corner.
So sick.
Yeah. It's definitely one of
them. Does like a really good job of like easing you into mechanics without it feeling like you're actually being told that, oh yeah, this is what this does. You kind of just naturally are like, oh, like this, like for example, the corridor that like leads you out into the open view, like you were saying. There's nowhere else for you to go, so the game kind of naturally points you in the direction. It gives you points of interest that naturally guide you.
That's definitely a thing that we're going to get into when we leave the Great Plateau as well, because I think that's the thing that this game does over most open world games.
Yeah, I mean, Sakurai even went over it this week in a video.
Oh, did he?
How they designed the overworld, because that was I guess a problem that they had during development was people were just going from point A to point B, and they weren't really exploring much, so they had to design the overworld to accommodate for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll definitely get into that one. But sticking on the Great Plateau itself, it's kind of showing you that you have multiple options right off the bat, right? You can go to like each of the 4 shrines to get your runes. I think I died a couple of times right off the bat trying to fight those bokoblins. Because I think one of the first things you see is like that skull with the bokoblins. But I think it just teaches you that there are so many ways to interact with the enemies, literally right off the bat, before you have the runes, before you even have a bow and arrow or the paraglider, showing you, okay, you can like push things, you can throw things at them, you can do all this stuff. You have these weapons. Like, how are you going to use the things in your environment that you're rewarded for exploring to your advantage, right? It's already showing you all of that.
Pushing the boulder
Yeah,
Killing
yeah.
those things of bokoblins, that was the aha moment of the game for I think a lot of people, where it was like, oh, cool. If I push this down, it rolls down the hill, it kills all the bokoblins, and I get the little treasure chest that's down there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
There's so many.
You jump off the Great Plateau before getting on the paraglider.
I did not. I did not.
I was tempted, but I didn't because I knew I would die.
Yeah, I did.
I know that the game, like, even if you survive, after like 10 minutes or something, it checks where you are anyway, or 5 minutes, and like teleports you back.
You can make it down?
You can. There are ways. Like, you can, not through like normal means, but by doing speedrunner stuff.
Oh, I got
Yeah, like stasising a door, for example, and hitting it over and over again while you stand on it to actually survive the fall into the water or something. That fog is there, and it's like there's a constant barrier around the Great Plateau where it checks every 2 minutes if you left it and then teleports you back. So you can't actually leave it.
Dang. Yeah, I didn't make it.
Yeah. But trying to explore this world without the paraglider would kind of suck, to be honest.
Geez.
Yeah.
One of the highlights.
So the Great Plateau Goes Down is one of the best tutorializations in a video game because, I mean, it gives you those little text prompts on the top once you already do something. It's like double fold the information. It's like, okay, I'm doing the thing because the game has taught me to do the thing, and I'm experimenting because it's incentivizing me to do so. But then it's like fully explaining it in a little text thing. And this is something that I actually complained about a lot with the tutorialization of a game like Sonic Frontiers and how that game does things, which is kind of the opposite of this one, where it throws so much information at you through the text that you're bound to forget it, right? You're bound to not feel connected to it. Whereas this game, you're doing it because the game is tutorializing you to do so, and then it gives you like a little hint on it. And people learn things in different ways, but I think learning things through the game itself is probably the best way to do it, and then also giving you a little bit of information on it. What do you guys think about that?
I totally agree.
I mean, they both have their pros and cons, and like some games are able to do it better than others just by the very nature of the way that they're structured. Like a Sonic game, I feel like would be a lot harder to contextualize a lot of like the game's mechanics, especially one like Frontiers, because there's just so many, and it's like the combat options in that game, I would say, are a little bit more complicated than Breath of the Wild's in some ways, mainly just by like virtue of how many button combinations you have that do things. But I do think that like Breath of the Wild does handle like easing you into gameplay mechanics in a very organic manner, whether you happen to stumble upon them or not.
Right. I think the thing that bugged me about Sonic Frontiers is that when I think about a game like Sonic Adventure 2, right, and I don't want to get too off topic with this, but it does what Breath of the Wild does, but also lets you interact with the tutorialization through Omo Chow and through the tutorial menu, right?
Well, I mean, I also think that's just comes down to the fact that like Sonic Adventure 2 is a much more simplistic like game controls wise, relative to like a game like Frontiers.
Yeah, that's true. There's definitely a lot of buttons.
Oh, you only have like 2
Frontiers.
buttons to use in a game like SA2.
Yeah, I think it actually works towards its advantage in interacting with things. Okay, but not to get too off track with that, let's talk about actually exploring, right? And this is where you were just talking about the thing that Sakurai said when it came to the development of this game with the exploration. So for context, as soon as you leave the Great Plateau, you can pretty much go anywhere, right? But it's heavily, I'm pretty sure it's hinted at you to try to go visit Impa at Kakariko, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's like the first place they tell you to go, but you can go wherever you want, regardless.
Yeah.
You can see it right from the right from like the tower that you're at.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, it's been it's literally been so many years since I've done that that I don't even know.
Yeah, they do a lot of cool little tricks to make you feel like you have like a ton of freedom in the way that you explore, when they're actually kind of like guiding you, kind of. Where they just
find it.
They design like the overworld in like triangles,
Yeah.
so that when you get to like as you start, you can either go around an obstacle or climb over it. But no matter what, you're always not able to see what's like behind the mountain until you start to climb it or start to interact with it.
Yeah, so it gives you that choice, right? It gives you can either go around it or you can climb it, and whichever way you're going, there are going to be so many landmarks along the way that you're going to feel distracted regardless on your way to that journey. So it's like you're making so many personal choices there. That's that feeling of freedom that you're talking about. That's what makes it feel like it's your journey. And before, they were having trouble because they just had all the towers up there, right? So everyone would go from Tower 1 to Tower 2 to Tower 3 to Tower 4. They wouldn't, like, go to Tower 1 and then, like, do 17 things and then eventually maybe find their way over to Tower 2 or maybe Tower 7, right? Depending on which path they felt like taking. That was the difference that they ended up changing in development, because I think they had playtesters and they noticed, like you said, they were just going from tower to tower as opposed to tower to shrine to enemy base to whatever else. Those triangles that you were talking about hide what's behind it, right? Which, like you said, forces them to interact with it in order to see what's around. And depending on their goals at the time, their priorities would shift, right? Do you need more weapons? Go to an enemy base. Do you need more power? Go to the shrine so then you can upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what makes it your journey.
And I just remembered it wasn't Sakurai, it was Game Maker's Toolkit. That's what it was.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I saw that video. I wasn't sure that Sakurai also made one, because Game Maker's Toolkit is a shoutouts to them. Come on the podcast. I would love to have them on the podcast.
That would be sick.
Yeah, for sure. I love Game Maker Toolkit's content. All right, cool. So speaking of exploration, what were your guys' paths to the divine beasts? Like, what was the order that you guys went to?
I did Mipha's first.
Mm-hmm.
Then I did Urbosa, followed by Daruk, and then I think I did Rivali last.
We have the same one.
Wow.
And I don't think that's common. I think doing Mipha first is common because it's heavily it's like the closest one to where you are.
That's the one that they imply for you to visit first because you're like right near it.
That's what I did first.
Right. But doing Urbosa's second is something that you and I did, but probably not a lot of other people did.
I think that's because I remember telling you go there next.
Did you? I mean, it's been so long.
Because, like, you weren't too sure where to go at the beginning of the game, I remember. So I kind of had to, like, point you in the direction, I think. I don't remember entirely. I just know that the only reason why I did Urbosa second was because I couldn't get to Death Mountain because I didn't have the right equipment for it.
Oh, I see.
I didn't have, like, any heat-resistant stuff.
Oh.
Technically,
like the peppers.
Yeah.
The peppers are for ice cold resistance, right? Spicy peppers. Yeah, I think you need the lizards to make a fireproof elixir.
Or you get like the like helmet gear or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you talk to that, there's a guy outside of Death Mountain who, if you talk to him and you collect 10 fireproof lizards, he gives you the Firebreaker helm.
Yeah.
Which gives you a level 1 resistance to it, and then you can buy the other parts inside of Death Mountain. I only remember that because I had to do it when I finally went there, which was my third one. But what was your order, Friedrich?
I did Ruda, then I did Rudania, then Meadow, and then Naboris.
Okay. And
So
which
in like the typical order?
Yeah. What?
Water, fire, wind, and
Lightning. Yeah. Yeah, man.
It was easy.
Yeah, right. And
in a circle.
True.
Yep.
The thing is like the divine beast's health increased depending on how many other blight Ganons you fought. Or sorry, yeah, the other blights health increase. That's the only thing. Like you can do them in any order. The health of them still increase depending on which ones you've done before.
Everybody kept telling me that the Thunderblight was going to be a pain, but that was for me. I was so overpowered at that point. I had like 15 hearts and stuff.
Yeah,
so easy.
Yeah, I watched you do it. You didn't really have the only thing you struggled with, which is the same thing that I struggled with, is I didn't know that you have. Yeah, I was like, they look like rocks, so why would I magnesis them? That was the thing that was. Yeah, that's the thing that was holding me up in my head. And Craftis and a bunch of other people in chat were like, you have to. I think they let me suffer for a while, and then maybe they told me, or I just pulled up magnesis eventually, and I saw it. I don't remember what the heck it was, but it was definitely a funny time to be had.
Yeah.
I just remember watching you try to get into Naboris, and you blew yourself up.
I actually I posted that in my Discord last night because doing the DLC, I did a bullet time bomb arrow Lizalfos like to the face and killed myself on the DLC with a quarter heart because the DLC requires that you have a quarter heart. Because I thought that I had the normal arrows equipped, and I was like, oh no. And then Siri, one of our Discord members, he clipped it, and then I replied to it with that clip from 4 years ago saying that I never learned my lesson at all.
Oh my God.
Where it was the same thing where you know how you have to use the sand seal to use bomb arrows on the feet of Naboris? Yeah, so the sand seal stopped, and then it stopped right in front of me, and I was like, oh, perfect. I got off of it, and I was like, right in front of me, and then I died, and then I just said I was going to bed. It was very funny.
Yeah, I died a few times on that one. It's not even that difficult.
Yeah. Oh man, good times. Continuing on exploration, we've kind of already gone into the gameplay loop a little bit and how it feels like your own journey. I think that's the thing that really pushes me forward personally in the game more than anything else, because the story didn't do that. It was the gameplay loop that pushed me forward at all.
Mine was like a 50-50 split.
I liked, and we'll get to the story, I liked what I saw, but it's the fact that the story takes place in the past and that it's so segmented that it never really motivated me to see the rest of it. You know? That wasn't the thing that was pulling me forward. I'm sure, yeah.
I would get a memory and I'd be like, okay, where's the next one? I want to find out how this all happened, because I was hoping that there was going to be some like payoff in the present for it, and then like there kind of is, but I don't know. I think what I was expecting to get as a reward was what kept me moving, as opposed to what actually ended up happening.
Yeah,
but
which we'll definitely get into. Speaking of more exploration stuff, how about like towns and other things like that? I mean,
those are pretty cool to visit.
Yeah.
Okay.
The locations were unique. Well, like
Terrytown is most special.
Well, that's because you get to build it yourself.
Yeah. It
felt more impactful than the rest of them, for me at least.
Outside of that, I think like the Gerudo village was pretty cool because you had to sneak in and you had to like make an outfit for yourself.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Which eventually you get like the male outfit if you do certain stuff.
Yeah, but you still can't go into the town with the male outfit.
You can't?
Really?
I'm pretty sure you could.
You cannot. I've tried. Like recently I've tried. You cannot. You have to use
weird.
Yeah, you have to use the Vi outfit, not the Vo.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I thought you could.
No.
I thought that's the whole reason they give it to you.
No, it's
like,
not.
Okay, here you go.
Nope, it has shock resistance. You still can't enter the town though. You have to wear the Vi one. I promise you.
I mean, it is one of the best outfits in the whole game.
It is one of my favorite outfits. I love the cutscene that plays when you get it on, and Link's like, "Oh, I'm so pretty!" Like when he gets to put it on.
Yeah,
I love that one.
I like it.
Yeah. I really like Gerudo Town myself. I think that there's a lot of funny things to be shown, like the Gerudo Vi dating class and the cooking class that you get to witness. That secret club. You get to witness the dating class, yeah. I don't think you ever did. Yeah, I think you missed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can do it. There are a lot of side quest links.
Good thing this game was rated E.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of stuff implied in some of the character dialogue, though. It's really funny.
Link would have been, yikes, he would have been in trouble.
Yeah. But Gerudo Town, I agree. I think that one was really cool. Again, there's so many cool side quests in it. You have like the one where you have to go across and get what's that drink called from the ice place? The Noble Pursuit. Yeah, that's what it is. So that's cool. The dating class, like I said, and that secret club that you get to go in if you get the password to let you get like the luminous armor, like the stone armor that has that extra set of equipping bone weapons and having the bonus on that. That's cool, which you have to like eavesdrop on members from a bar or something, and then they give you the password. That's a cool little side quest.
I guess I didn't get the password because I had no idea that this was even a thing.
Oh yeah, there's a door that like it asks you for a password, and if you don't have it, then they're just like, get out of here. But if you get it from eavesdropping on other people, you can go in there and you can get that Vo set, and you can get another armor set.
I was rushing through this, like the Divine Beast, because I was so last second on it.
Yeah.
That was literally last Friday, and I only had 2 more streams to beat the game.
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, you only played the game for what? I mean, in your playthrough, you said, a month and 22 hours, you said, or something like that? Yeah, so there's going to be so much of the game that obviously you never got to explore.
Eventide Island, I didn't do.
Yeah, that's another.
Dang.
That's one of my favorite.
A throwback island.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite shrine. It is my favorite shrine quest in the game. Is Eventide Island for sure.
I'll have to do it eventually.
It's one of my favorite locations. Well, we'll see. There's probably something like it in Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh,
right?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm sure they got some feedback on how that was a cool place that it's probably going to be in the next game too, somehow, some way.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Oh god, it's coming out later today, baby. Just a few more hours. Yep. I'm so excited.
Play before you do.
Yeah, you're going to be playing it at midnight. I'll be playing it tomorrow at 6.
Spoil everything for you.
And don't you dare.
And you get to play it 30 minutes before me.
30 minutes? Oh yeah, that's true. I stream at 6, you stream at 6:30.
Yep.
Other towns, actually, Pinche mentioned in chat in Kakariko, you have everything that's going on with Paya, where I don't know if you ever read Paya's diary or interacted with her in
I've read
Impa.
a lot about Paya.
Oh yeah, okay, Craftis, tone it down there, mister. But yeah, there's if you do enough side quests and you get that orb back in Kakariko, which only activates if you've done enough side quests in the town in the first place, which is how a lot of the towns work.
Mm-hmm.
You learn that Paya has a birthmark on her butt, or like on her left butt cheek or something, which Pinche just brought up. Stop it! You gotta relax. You need some water, sir.
I have
Go
water
grab some
right here. I stay plenty hydrated.
Yeah, I don't believe you with the way that you talk.
You're almost as wet as Calamity Ganon.
Yeah, for real. That dude has a very wet texture.
Hey, Nintendo knew what they were doing when they decided to put a birthmark on someone's butt and then have them tell you that in the story.
True. I mean, Nintendo definitely knows what they're doing in general when it comes to
they knew what they were doing back in that era. They had Breath of the Wild, Zelda. They had Twintel.
All right, no more of this. Just kidding. But yeah. Yeah, she was super uncomfortable with Impa saying it. But okay. Other than that, I mean, other times you had Hateno. where Link's house is. That's one of my favorite quests in the game. You actually get to have a full house where you can store armor and weapons and other things like that, right? With Bolson, which is really cool.
In quick enough though. It takes forever to get all of them because they're only.
Yeah.
They keep doing it over and over.
Yeah. I don't think they expect people to like, oh, I'm going to do this once I have 5,000 rupees and get my full house done, right? They kind of expect you to like do something, come back to it with 100 rupees, you know.
Oh, man.
But I did the same thing where I kind of just, I went through it all at once because I did it. It was one of the very last things I did in the game after all the 4 divine beasts and everything. So I kind of just had everything ready. The fact that you can dye your outfits and stuff in Hiteno as well. Zora's
pretty cool.
Zora's Domain, I really love the look of it, but I don't think it has much as far as the town goes, or I don't think it has as much going for it as some of the other towns go.
I mean, it never really has, to be honest with you. I think the best version of it might be the one in Twilight Princess, but like, there wasn't any type of Zora anything in Wind Waker for them to go off of. You don't really have anything in Skyward Sword that I remember that had to do with the Zora. And then the only other thing is Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Zora's Domain has ever been that crazy. I just mean in comparison to some of the other towns, I guess. It wasn't as full, right?
It introduced you to Lionel's, though.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, with that side, I mean, not only the quest itself, but there's also a side quest that tells you to take a picture of it, so you can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone there, by doing that. And that also introduces you, because that's pretty early on in the game.
Yep.
To take pictures of things for your Hyrule Compendium, right?
So
take pictures of all the enemies and every item in the game. I will never do that. I'm not going to take a picture of everything in the game to get 100%, but yeah.
Cool little aspect of the game, though. I think that it could be introduced a little bit better, but I think it was still interesting, the camera aspect.
Yeah. I mean, I liked... Go on.
What were you gonna say? I was gonna say that, like, I think Age of Calamity did Zora's Domain more justice than Breath of the Wild, for sure.
Age of Calamity did more justice in what aspect, you said?
Well, it, like, gave Zora's Domain more justice as far as, like, exploration goes and just making it feel a little bit more fuller, because you actually have to traverse across most of it in order to, like, defeat the whatever battalions of enemies that show up.
Yeah.
And also, like, from a narrative perspective, it has, like, a lot of importance in the story, because, like, the whole thing with Mipha and saving Sidon.
Yeah, totally. 100%. Yeah, and that's another game we played on the channel before we got around to finishing Breath of the Wild, was Age of Calamity, and I think, honestly, it helps aid the story of the game a lot, only because you feel so much more connected to the characters, which is, I think, the best thing that Age of Calamity has going for it as far as its story, was the characters. But yeah,
I'll be right back.
Thank God I got to watch you play it, because I did not get that game. It did look good though.
Yeah, I would say definitely watch the story aspects of the game.
Yeah.
Just to refresh yourself on some of it, because even though it's an alternate timeline, the characters themselves are written very, very well. That's
Urbosa.
Yeah, Urbosa, girl boss.
So badass in that game.
Yeah,
So
I mean, even badass in Breath of the Wild too. I love Urbosa.
That's true. I did like a lot of the Gerudo. The Gerudo had the best design. So, and then I think also the Zoras had a cool design.
Yeah.
What's the Zora guy's name that you're following?
Sidon?
Sidon. I loved his design.
Yeah,
he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
I love Sidon. That's actually one of my favorite characters in the game, is Sidon.
Sarcasm, man. He's got it. He's got it on lock.
And then the other town would be Goron City and Lurelin Town that we haven't talked about. Lurelin Town is the one on the beach that kind of it's like the
Yep. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like that Zonai architecture, or it has like the Zonai symbol and stuff like that, and it's just on the beach, and that's a cool little town, right? You can play a money game. There's not much to it, but it does give you a few side quests to do in that area. And I like the town I like the fact that there is a beach town. It's kind of cool, just to have something like another town for you to see, I guess. Right?
Yeah, it was super cool.
And then the Goron.
I just happened to find that area.
Yeah. It's kind of like next to Eventide.
Yeah.
I think it's on that coastline. And then Goron City, between Goron City and Eventide, I think they're probably my least favorite towns. I don't think Goron City has that much to offer. I think the area surrounding Goron City, like Death Mountain and the side quests that are in it that force you to explore things, it's kind of cool. But there's not as much going on there.
I agree completely. It's a little bit boring and lackluster.
Yeah.
Afterthought.
I'd say the two best ones are like probably goes like Rudo Village and then afterwards a Gerudo.
Oh yeah, the Rito.
Yeah, the
Rito Village. The Rito Village does have a good amount of side quests. I can't really remember much of it though. Like I don't think
it's like a very vertical based village, and then you have like the training range off to the side.
Yeah, because they don't care about anyone who can't fly. Basically, it's super vertical, and it's designed for the birds, right? And they even have like
Dragon
launching
Roost
pads.
remix.
Yeah, you have a cool Dragon Roost remix for that town. So that's cool. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put the podcast on pause as I go to the bathroom real quick. Anyone else, if you guys have to go to the bathroom or whatever, feel free to do that.
Okay. Bum. Wait, did he leave it on? Is it still on?
Yeah, good question.
I wasn't sure if he put it on a different screen.
Oh no, it's still on.
Yeah.
Hi, chatting.
How's chat doing? The only one. What was your favorite aspect of the game?
Mine?
Yeah.
I think the combat was pretty cool.
Did you ever do any of the like the bomb jumping glitches and stuff like that?
Nah.
Where you could travel like super far?
I seen them, but I never could figure out how to do them. And like they only like really started showing up after I had already beaten the game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could not figure it out for the life of me. I've been watching tons of people play it, and it's just way over my head.
Yeah, it's a lot of like physics manipulation and stuff.
Yeah, I wish I could figure that out. It took me a while to even figure out how Juice was talking about the whistle running.
I figured that one out.
Yeah,
that was
one
cool.
fun.
I return.
Whiskey.
You guys are talking about whistle running?
Yeah, we were just talking about like cool aspects of the game. Like I was asking him if he ever tried the bomb jumping, where you can fly super far.
Yeah. I did learn how to do it on stream, and then I forgot by the next time I played the game, which was months and months later. So
yeah, I could not figure it out. Don't you have to use like the square bomb and then jump and then use the circle bomb and then blow the circle bomb up or something? I don't remember.
Yeah, basically what you do is you go into bullet time with the bow, you drop the square bomb or the circle bomb. I don't really know the order. Then you drop the other one, and then you switch back to the first one you dropped, blow it up so that the bomb in front of it hits you, and and that's what sends you flying, and then you use your paraglider.
Too confusing. It looks super cool though. I always watch like YouTube shorts of people doing it. It looks super sick.
Yeah.
People doing trick shots on Guardians.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, the game's combat system in general is definitely something that we're going to get into heavily. Speaking of which, do you guys have anything else to add when it comes to exploration and your journeys with the game in general, like what you did and how you feel about that?
The rain is the worst aspect of this entire game.
Oh. What, you don't like
Rain.
having to spontaneously like strip in the rain?
When I first started the game, you know the Twin Peaks, how there's a shrine at the top?
The dueling peaks, yeah.
I got to the top just about. It started raining, and I fell all the way to the bottom, and I was just about to turn off stream. I was like, bro, I can't deal with this right now.
That's
That
funny.
was so frustrating. What is the climbing gear even for if it can't help you with something like that?
That would be a cool set bonus if it actually lets you climb in rain. That's a good point. Like if you actually had all three parts.
Did you upgrade it all the way?
I did not, but I had all three pieces.
Mm.
And
Does it? Does the? I don't think it does that.
It's
Let me
only
see.
a mediocre speed boost increase on the way up.
Well, I think it's if you have all three pieces, then it gives you like a 60% boost, which is actually pretty damn good.
Oh, I never really used it that much.
Let me look up climbing gear Breath of the Wild just to
I don't think it is.
let me see what it does. Yeah, because I haven't heard of that either.
I also, exploration wise, I don't love swimming.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah.
Give him the rain.
Oh, it doesn't. Okay, I was gonna say I don't think it does. Right.
It feels very much like an afterthought, the swimming. I feel like they could do like a cool mini game with swimming.
Mm.
But it just feels kind of weird.
Zelda and water. Nobody likes water dungeons.
Yeah, I think the only time Zelda has done good with water was in Majora's Mask, where you can actually put on the Zora's Mask and swim with very good water controls. Ever since then, the water in Zelda games in general has just not been great.
I think that's somewhere that they could definitely do better for Tears of the Kingdom. If they did something
Maybe?
fun, I would love that.
Even like if you get the Zora set, you can actually like swim. I just want better swimming controls in general. I want to have fun no matter where I'm exploring, whether it be in the water or on land or climbing mountains or whatever else. I still want to have fun doing it. I don't want it to be a slog. But it's also like that survival aspect of it where it takes the stamina from you. Like, do you have enough stamina to do this, or are you going to have to interact with the environment by getting a Korok leaf and using the boat, by using Cryonis, by going around it? Do I have to come back here later when I have more stamina? I'll mark this on the map. Like, there's a lot of different aspects that go into it. But I think that having armor sets that help with more of that, like the Zora set does make swimming much faster. Plus, it lets you, not only does it make the swim dash faster, it makes it so, or the swimming faster in general, it makes the swim dash take less stamina and lets you swim up waterfalls, which is a cool thing, even if you just have one of the parts equipped. But if you have all three, yeah, it takes up less stamina and gives you faster swimming. So that's one thing at least. But you brought up a really good point when you said that the climbing gear should give you like rain resistance, because
Something.
Yeah.
It's not enough. It doesn't do enough for you.
yeah, I think that would be a really cool set bonus. And it's kind of weird that the game doesn't have one in general, especially if
It's so frustrating.
yeah, especially if Rivali's Gale, like Craftis and I, was our last champion power. You know?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate because that is easily the most useful
Yeah.
upgrade in the entire game. The other three are kind of, they're okay, but you know, they're whatevers in comparison.
Yeah, I think the Rivali scale is definitely the most.
I wish you had did the DLC because you certainly may have gotten more usage out of the other ones like that.
Do you get
Yeah.
a boost from them all?
They all get like some type of upgrade.
Well,
Oh,
no,
okay.
what it is they have a shorter recharge time.
Or even that.
Yeah.
Rivali's Gale with a shorter recharge time? That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. I only know because I just did one of the 4 last night, which is Urbosa's Fury, and it was like, okay, now you can use this more often, which is just the recharge time being faster. So I assume it's the same for the others. Yeah. I mean, I did all of DLC Pack 1, but DLC Pack 2 is actually pretty damn long.
Really?
It would take like 3 streams to do. It adds...
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it took 1 stream to do just Urbosa's.
Well, you also died like a ton.
Yeah, I did die 23 times, I think we counted. But even that's because you're at a quarter heart and you have like a 1-hit obliterator weapon to start it off. And then it sends you off in 4 directions after you do that stuff. There are like 4 shrines right there that you have to do, along with clearing the enemy camps with a quarter heart. And then it sends you off to the 4 divine beasts. And each of those 4 divine beasts have 3 side quests. And each of those 3 side quests have their own shrines that you have to do. And then after that, you have to do a 5th divine beast.
Oh, what?
So, yeah. So there's no way I was going to...
I wouldn't say you have a 5th divine beast, but you do have a 5th dungeon.
It's closer to a divine beast than anything else. And and you have a unique boss at the end with the monk, right?
This man looking stuff up.
I wasn't looking... Dude, the game has been out forever. Like, it's just osmosis. You learn the things. It comes up in videos and everything else, like you see it. I mean...
That's the best boss in the whole game.
Oh, you think so? I haven't actually seen the boss fight.
It is the best boss in the whole game.
Oh, cool.
If you ask most people, they will say that the DLC's boss is the best in the game.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
It makes Ganon look like a joke.
He kind of was a joke. He was quite easy with half health.
Yeah, that's another thing. I almost wish that even though you are rewarded for doing the 4 divine beasts, it is part of that main quest of defeating Ganon. I almost wish that there was some other reward than having his health cut in half, because I think it kind of...
don't mind it, because I feel like the fight just would have became monotonous and kind of tedious. Because I don't think his patterns change when he reaches like the... I mean, like he might get a little bit more aggressive at the halfway marker, but otherwise I don't really think the fight's all that different.
Yeah, it was ridiculously easy.
Well, I think it changes... I think it changes like in the last third, like when he gets his armor.
Yeah, it'll always change in that like last third. He'll get more aggressive. He'll start using some of the like divine beast, like the Daruk's protection type stuff.
Yeah.
But like the first half of the fight, if you don't do any of the divine beasts and like his health doesn't deplete, I think his attacks for the most part stay relatively the same. The only added thing is you have to fight the blights before you fight Ganon.
Yeah, if you don't do the divine beasts, for each divine beast you don't do, you have to fight the blight.
Yeah.
Before you fight Ganon, so it's like a boss rush. It's kind of sick.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, but
That does sound like fun.
They could like if anything they should have done it even still. You should have fought like a second version before you fought Ganon.
Like a phantom version or something like that.
Yeah, they could have had like phantom blights or whatever.
Or forced you to fight like a cool Lionel or something like that. You know how some of the gate houses have Lionels? Like forced you to fight some of those instead.
Yeah.
I almost... I mean... I know like...
You never fought the gold Lionel, did you?
No, because I'm not in hero mode.
Oh, yeah. I forgot.
Yeah.
Is that only after you beat the game?
You can enter hero mode at any time you purchase the DLC,
Oh yeah, I
Oh.
forgot.
But I just didn't use it when I purchased it because we had like 3 streams left. I'm doing the whole game like the normal mode anyway. If I ever go back to the game, I'll probably try it in
Should've
hero
played
mode.
it on master mode. And
Oh yeah, master mode, not hero mode.
then you would have been like, this is a final boss.
How different is the game in master mode?
It's kind of like your standard like hard mode with Zelda games,
Okay.
where you're more limited on healing items, and then you just take more damage.
And there are harder enemies, and the enemies regenerate their HP.
Yeah. So like, there's a couple of things.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm proficient enough at this point, and I already beat the game.
Yeah. It would. I think it would definitely force me to get good at the game. I would be really good at this game if the 100 hours I put into it was consecutive, but it wasn't. So I'm not good at the game. I'm like okay, yeah, I'm like okay at the game, right? But I'm not great at it.
Even parrying is kind of pain in the ass when you're not in practice.
Yeah. It depends on the distance and whatnot, because there are like I know the cues for certain distances, but if you start to feel pressure at all, then you start going like super early or whatever else like I was doing earlier. It was funny. But
with the Guardian shield, you don't even need to do that.
yeah, I actually have it in my inventory and I wasn't using it because I was like, I want to feel some sort of pressure going into this final boss. Like I could have had like 86 defense and used the Guardian shield and all this other stuff, but I was like, you know what? I'll put on my cool Twilight Princess outfit. I'll use the cool Ganon sword, the bow of the Twilight bow only has 30 attack, but it's cool bows of arrows of light and whatnot. Hylian shield. I just want to look the part, really. So
I had the bow of light and I didn't even use it. I used bomb arrows with a royal bow or something. I can't remember which bow.
oh no, you did at the end you were using the bow of light to fight the beast Ganon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
'Cause I had the
switched to
Twilight
it.
bow.
Oh, you did. Oh,
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
from the amiibo.
Oh, okay. You got it too.
Yeah.
All right, because I saw you switch to one of the two like right before, because I was watching your playthrough. Because I know you were shooting actual arrows of light, golden arrows. Yeah.
And then I switched to the bomb arrows for Ganon.
Wait, the final. Oh, you mean like the
Calamity Ganon.
Calamity Ganon? Okay, I was confused because I think you have to use the golden arrows, the arrows of light, to beat Beast Ganon, right?
Beast Ganon. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So speaking of the combat system, why don't we talk about that? What do you guys think about the combat system? You can just go anywhere. Let your intuition take you wherever you want with it.
Pretty cool. I enjoyed like the parry mechanic as well as like being able to do like flurry rushes. That definitely felt like nice to get proficient at, to where just about any move that someone did, I could just be like, okay, I'm just gonna dodge it, and I get a free counterattack.
Yeah. I thought the most satisfying fighting was definitely parrying the Guardians.
Yeah, especially the final like temple that they have you do, or like the final shrine. I don't think any of you guys have done all 120 shrines.
No.
Nope. I've done 80. I've done 2/3 of the shrines, but not
You got
all
more
of
than
them.
me.
I did all 120, and the last one's pretty crazy because it's just a bombardment of guardians everywhere.
Do you get anything for it?
You get the
special?
Tunic of the Wild
Oh, okay. Okay.
once you complete all the shrines, which is pretty cool. Don't know how I would rank it amongst all the other Twilight, like Zelda, like Link tunics, but it's certainly an interesting thing to lock behind. Like completing all the shrines.
I don't think it's a bad bonus, but I think the only thing that armor set does is power up the beam sword.
Yeah,
Just-
I think
just like all
makes
of the
so that way
other-
the beams are like instant.
No, it just makes them stronger, I think.
Oh, I thought it makes it so it charges like almost instantly.
No, I think it's the same as all of the other amiibo, the hero sets, which all power up the beam sword and the master sword. I think they're all the same. It's just that, yeah. It's just the one of the wild is the Breath of the Wild exclusive one that you do if you get all the shrines. But they all power up the beam sword, from what I know. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of like armor set, best weapon stuff lately since I'm, pretty much finished with the game,
Yeah, I was doing the same thing. After I hit the beat the 4th Divine Beast, I was like, okay, now I can start to have like fun with it.
Yeah.
Messing around with the like stasis and shit.
Yeah. I think I had the most fun with this game after I beat the 4 Divine Beasts.
Agreed.
Because I mean, I'll get into this when I talk about the story. But I guess let's continue to talk about the combat system, right? I think that this is the best combat system in a 3D Zelda. By far. Like, far and away, the best combat system in 3D Zelda. I don't know if it tops...
Horseback?
The horseback? I mean, the horseback is okay, I guess. I mean, Twilight Princess probably trumps in horseback riding.
Thank you.
I feel like...
Garbage.
Like, while I will say that I do enjoy... Breath of the Wild's combat system, Wind Waker for me is still like my favorite one to play, just because of the rhythmic timing of doing things in that game, as well as like being able to roll behind someone and like counterattack them and stuff.
Yeah, but you can't shield surf.
True.
Hey,
I feel like the perfect mix would be like taking the best elements of Wind Waker's combat and merging it with Breath of the Wild's.
I feel like even Twilight Princess's some of Twilight Princess's mechanics, especially the horseback combat.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? They may have improved that for Tears of the Kingdom.
I hope so. Okay, let me talk about the elements of other Zelda games that I appreciate when it comes to the combat system. Wind Waker, I appreciate, like you said, the rhythmic combat, the fact that it's like, and you can hit the A button and roll behind them or do things like that. Twilight Princess has better horseback riding. It has combat sequences within the game baked in for the horseback riding, like
From
fighting Ganon,
Elder Link or whatever.
Well,
that you learn all of those cool techniques.
Oh, that's not even the horseback riding. I was about to get into that though.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, you have like Elden Bridge where you have to fight that like what's his name, the giant Boblikin. I don't even know, Bokoblin King or whatever the heck it was.
The one that you fight on the bridge?
Yeah. So there's that. That's on horseback, right? There's a lot of stuff with horseback riding in Twilight Princess. And then
they make it more like a set piece type deal.
That's what I'm saying. There's like combat sequences where you have to like stop they're like trying to take off with someone in Hyrule Field
like
that you have to. Yeah, the carriage. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking of.
They showed those in the trailer for Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know if exactly that means that there will be escort missions, but I feel like that is kind of like almost have to be.
Love that. I would love that. That would be so sick.
Yeah. But then also in Twilight Princess, you have, again, the Ocarina of Time, the hero Shade, teaching you all these unique techniques in the combat that aren't there in a game like Breath of the Wild.
I really enjoyed something like that.
We don't have the spin attack no more.
Yeah, we don't have the finishers that are callbacks to classic Zelda games like Zelda 2, for example, like the downward...
You better learn how to do the spin attack in this game.
He better learn a lot of things. Yeah, there are so many unique elements to the other combat systems.
Bless you.
Thank you. that could have been in the combat system of Breath of the Wild when it just comes to sword combat. But also, another thing to keep in mind is this game has a lot of things that those games do not have at all. For the fact that we have way more weapon types, for example. We have two-handed weapons, spears, one-handed weapons. We still have boomerangs, which is cool. We still have bow and arrows. And then our
No hook
items,
shot.
no hook shot,
Hook
which
shot,
is sad.
I was actually that's one thing I have. Hook shot.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most useful and coolest items in any Zelda
I understand
game.
why it's gone, because then it would kind of trivialize traversing up mountains and stuff.
Yeah,
You
but
remember the spin top too? I can't remember
Yeah.
what the weapon
That was in
called.
Skyward Sword, wasn't it?
no, it's Twilight
Twilight
Princess.
Princess.
Oh, I'm thinking about something else then.
I thought that
Mm.
was a really cool exploration, like use of exploration in Twilight Princess. I think that could be a cool addition as well.
I think that the combat system of Breath of the Wild, it had all those different weapon types, but the thing that's really cool about the combat system of Breath of the Wild is that it forces you into being creative.
Yeah.
The other games, like, sure, you can use some other options, but they're never as proficient as just using the sword, right? Unless it's like a flying enemy that you use a boomerang on, or something else that you use a bow and arrow on. Like,
yeah.
you know, it's super. It's like you do this for this and this for this. Like, there's a
Yeah.
very clear way that you
Broken
do
down.
things.
Basic.
And that's also just by proxy of them nerfing essentially your sword combat. I feel like in certain areas, because like you said, there kind of was never a reason. Could just kind of just use your sword and there you go. But that's because you had so many different sword attacks that you would get.
Mm.
Whereas now you're very much toned down, especially at the beginning. And only through over the course of you playing the game do you become stronger by like mastering the game's techniques and getting used to like the different weapon types and parries and flurry rush.
Yeah.
Magnesis, using blocks and dropping it on bokoblins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Stasising
it.
them,
But
using
it
the
still
bombs.
would be cool to be able to learn some new like sword moves at your disposal. If it was like, oh, rotate the control stick quickly in a circle to do a spin attack or something.
Yeah, like learning from someone to do something else with, even if it's multiple weapon types. Like, you go to some place and there's some master that's like really good
Yeah.
with a two-handed weapon. You learn a technique from him, and then you go somewhere else and they're really good with the bows, so you learn something from them in like the Rito village, for example, right? But
like
there's
Age of
nothing like
Calamity
that.
does it pretty cool, where you can learn new combos and stuff. So it constantly feels like your character is getting stronger as you
Yeah.
proceed through the game.
Mm-hmm.
In the Great Plateau, you are with that old man isn't that the king though?
King Rome,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that they could have had him kind of show Link a little bit more throughout the game. Like, I think he could have been showing him these techniques throughout the game. I think that, he could have been that, not father figure, but that, that
Guardian, or like, yeah, something
Or
like
they could have
that.
had like Link's memories, where like you find moments in the overworld where he remembers like going around and training and
different
learning
kinds
these.
of like memories.
Yeah, like they had like his
Like that.
memories of with Zelda, but they could have had like memories of him like training, or even just as rewards for finding Zelda, like the memories with Zelda, you could have learned new attacks or something.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I like that, because that would go into the design element of this game in general. Everything is found and discovered through exploration. Every single thing in this game, including the story, you have to explore for it. It's Zelda in a nutshell. It's the most Zelda designed Zelda out there since the first one.
If you don't figure it out, it will force you to figure it out.
You will explore.
You will find it.
So having like techniques that you could find by finding more memories, like you said, or just as some sort of other reward for finding those things, would have been sick, just to add to the combat system.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
Could be in Tears of the Kingdom.
Maybe,
We'll find out in a few
but
hours.
I feel like Tears of the Kingdom is going to be focused much more on the present than the past. This game was.
You never know.
Yeah, I mean, it's true.
They
I
could
don't
do a
know.
healthy mix of both.
Yeah.
a lot of them have like flashbacks. Most of them do, of some sort.
Other than that, though, I think the combat system in this game, obviously, it forces you to use your other options more than any other Zelda game. Other than the 2D ones, I think the 2D ones in this one are kind of on that same field where, like when I play Link to the Past, for example, I'm constantly using all sorts of different weapons because they're mostly useful. Like I can use the hook shot and it's going to stun someone. Same thing with the boomerang, and then I can go in for the kill. It's like the same thing as using stasis and then going in and then using your sword. I'm easily using the bow and arrow because all I have to do is set it to my other slot and then I'm using it along with my sword.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that where I'm using so many different things at once that they're always useful. If I have bombs out, they're still going to be useful. It's so fast paced in a game like that it encourages exploration in your options more. Whereas a game like Ocarina of Time does not. Or Twilight Princess does not, really. You're not going to really use a lot of those options in combat. Your sword is always going to be the best one, and it's always the fastest. Why would you switch to something else? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no right way. There is your way. That's the best thing of an open world like this.
Yeah. And I think it really says something about Breath of the Wild's combat system where it can take that 3D Zelda formula and allow you to, you're constantly using your runes like the bombs and stasis, and you can use magnesis for the things around you. You can push those boulders down like we were saying at the beginning of the podcast. You can experiment so much in the combat system, and along with the weapons durability system that we're about to get to, like you can steal your opponent's weapons. You can use the freaking TNT, essentially, that's around you if you have a fire arrow. Depending on how much you've explored and how many resources you've gathered on these enemy bases or whatever else, you're going to have a much easier time in combat or a much more creative time in combat than someone else. It's definitely my favorite combat system in a 3D Zelda. There are elements...
well flushed out.
Yeah, there are elements of the other ones that I like more, but I think they're limiting.
But they can also add it too.
Yeah.
They can do anything they want.
I really hope that the combat system has even more in this game, in Tears of the Kingdom.
Well, it will, because you might be able to make vehicles.
Well, I know that you can make vehicles, and you can kind of combine...
Run everything over.
Literally, you could do
If I see a fox, I'm running them over.
Whoa! You shut your goddamn mouth there. You will not harm the foxes.
Every
no.
time you said not to
I'm
kill
gonna run it over. I'm gonna go. Dead.
Every time.
Dead fox.
If Fred would be streaming the game and he would just see a fox and he'd be like, "This is for you," and then he would kill it. I'd be like, "I hate you."
Exactly.
This is for you, Juice.
Everyone's sick of fox.
Hey, they're the ones that let you be able to do that in the game.
Yeah, that's true. We all have choices in life and in video games. It doesn't make it moral to do so. Yeah.
They
awesome.
programmed it into the game that you could do that to the fox, so...
You know what?
Clearly.
You're right. And I guess we've already started to stumble upon it. How about that weapons durability system? What are your
thing that no one likes?
Yeah, why don't you guys go into that, and then I'll say what I want to say after you guys.
I mean, I don't really mind the weapon durability system. You just have to kind of be mindful of how you're using weapons and how frequently. Obviously, there's nothing to like repair the durability. At least not in Breath of the Wild. In Tears of the Kingdom, though, you can do some different stuff apparently. But like, I don't know. I never really found it that detrimental because it's like, okay, I got this really cool weapon. I gotta make the best of it while I get it. Try not to be wasteful of like my hits with it. Try to optimize how I'm gonna utilize it to take down whatever enemies are nearby, or like store it for later when I might need it in a pinch. But yeah, it never really bothered me all that much. It's just like something else that makes you think about how you interact with the overworld, and that's kind of cool.
It felt like a bigger deal at the beginning of the game. You find
Yeah.
a full weapon and it breaks, and you're like, "Oh my god, I'm never gonna see
I
something
have
like this again.
nothing.
I've got no weapons. What am I gonna do? Pick up a stick?
Yes.
And then you pick up the stick,
Yeah.
and then you
Sometimes
start
gotta
from
beat
scratch.
people with a stick.
Mm-hmm. I think the weapons durability system. I don't think this game would be this game without the weapons durability system. I don't think I would like it as much without it. I really
I
don't.
hated it at first. I did hate it at first. When I first started, I was like, "This is the stupidest mechanic. Why would you do this? This ruins it." But now I don't think I would want all the weapons.
Then you get the Master Sword.
And
Yeah.
then you hit it against bricks.
Breaks, and then it goes back to the forest unless you play the DLC.
No, it doesn't go back to the forest. It recharges for 10
It
minutes.
recharges 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a way to get it to go back to the forest.
Huh?
I
really?
don't know if that's true. I think you can make it leave your inventory through a glitch, but that's about
yeah,
it.
and then it goes back to the forest.
Oh, okay.
And then you have to go pick it up again. Which is also cool that, like, they let you try to take the Master Sword, and if you don't have enough hearts for it, you die.
Yeah, that's also cool. It's like, are you experienced enough to even use this in the first place? Because they...
Yiga Clan? I'm just thinking about this. Can
The
they
Yiga
get the
Clan?
Master Sword out of your hands?
I don't think so.
Because I know they can hit enemies out of your hand, or items out of your hand.
I don't think they could do that to the Master Sword.
I'm not sure. No, I don't think they would drop. Like, if you get shocked or something, the Master Sword wouldn't drop. It can't leave your inventory. It's like the one thing. But getting back to the weapons durability system, I think that when it comes to stuff like amiibo weapons and stuff, that you have a paywall for these things, and there's such a low chance of them dropping in the first place. It kind of sucks that those have durability on them.
Yeah,
but then again, it would, then again, like I was gonna say, it would also trivialize the entire system. Like, if you just happen to have these amiibos and then the things never broke, you would never have to interact with the
Twilight Bow.
Yeah.
That would have infinite durability. That would be so broken.
I feel like what they should have done is after you would unlock them via the amiibo, they appear somewhere at a shop that you can buy. So it's like, okay, you now unlock, you like got the weapon via the amiibo. Now some shop, either like the Hateno Village shop or whatever, has them in their inventory for you to buy now, so you don't have to spam the amiibo to get them over and over again.
Yeah. Because it's such a low percent chance. I remember like save scumming forever to get the full Twilight Princess set, for example.
5%.
I don't have any amiibo like that to use, so...
Yeah, I mean, my roommate had a bunch of the amiibo for me to use. That's the only reason why. Because the only ones I have are the Skyward Sword, Zelda, and Twilight Princess, Wolf Link, which doesn't get you anything other than Wolf Link, which is still a cool addition, but obviously you don't get any like armor or anything. But I'm actually getting all the NFC cards for Tears of the Kingdom, because I know they're going to give you the armor sets and stuff too. Because I can't afford to shell out hundreds of dollars for the things. It's cool that they still have functionality.
I was looking at the Twilight Princess Wolf Link, dude. That's selling for like almost $100 itself.
That's crazy.
For a Sora amiibo.
That's true.
For.
I mean, I have my Sephiroth.
I know it's coming. There's no way that he's going to be the only one that doesn't get one.
No, he'll get one. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I don't think I would like the combat system as much without the weapons durability system, because you can't just hold on to things. You have to actually interact with things, and it forces you, like we were saying, into using your other weapons or your runes, which are essentially your items in this game. Shocking things, they drop their weapons, you go get them. You can distract the enemies, steal their weapons before they can even use them. Each like enemy interaction or enemy base interaction, you're kind of you want to go into it saving as many resources as you can and gaining as many as you can. So how creatively can you play to make that the outcome? Are you going to go in and waste a bunch of stuff and then you have nothing at the end of it? Or are you going to leave with more than you went into it with? You know, what can you use? What don't you want that you can use in these interactions? Is your weapon about to break? Okay, throw it at the enemy so it does more damage.
True. I never did that.
Yeah,
I'm
it
sure
does.
Juice tried and missed many times.
I did it a ton in the DLC. I was constantly throwing weapons at things in the Master Trials. Yeah, because I loved the Master Trials actually because it's like Eventide Island, but more, like constantly more. So I'm always surveying things. It forces you back to square one in the same way Eventide Island does. So you're just collecting whatever you have and using it to your advantage. Yeah. So I actually really liked that part of the DLC. And even the second wave of the DLC too, like we were saying, you get everything through exploration. Along with those side quests, it just gives you hints. You still have to go out to explore to get those other shrines, the DLC ones, in order to actually complete it. It'll be like, oh, you have to go through rings on the land. You have to defeat a giant something. You know, it gives you hints, and then you actually have to go out to explore, just like anything else in the game, which is really cool. And I'm happy that the DLC continued with that theme. You know?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll have to eventually do that if they don't make the craziest DLC for Tears of the Kingdom, which they will.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll eventually be Tears of the Kingdom DLC. But I mean, the game is $70 in the first place, and it's been in development for the last 5 years. So, you know, we'll see.
DLC for that game might go stupid depending on how that game actually ends up being.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that. Oh no.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
That game has been getting 10 out of 10s from like everywhere.
Yeah,
it's sort of Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, but they're saying that this is just better Breath of the Wild. So it's like, okay, you made a 10 out of 10 game, and then now you made a sequel that's better than it? Huh?
Yeah.
7 out of 10 game, and then they made a sequel that's a 9 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Whoa.
Okay. I'm not gonna say Breath of the Wild's a 10 out of 10 game.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think it's a 9. I would give it a 9 personally. But
it's
yeah.
a very subjective game.
What isn't?
Well, okay,
What?
I would say this more so than like other ones, just because of the fact of how open-ended it is and the way that you can tackle it. Like, someone might have like a 5 out of 10 experience playing through the game because they just didn't know where to go or like couldn't think of ways to like keep themselves busy, or just never got into the flow of the game, where someone else might have like an 11 out of 10 experience. They might go crazy, spend like over 1,000 hours playing the game because they get sidetracked all over the place, doing every single little mission, side quest, and all types of like combinations to explore and get across places, like what you're seeing on Twitter.
I feel like the case could be made for any game in that sense, but yeah, the design of Breath of the Wild being an open world game, and like we were saying, everything is pretty open-ended with the way that you have to discover and explore things, and I could see that being more of an element for sure. Well, and you can tell in the different ways that even the three of us experienced the game. So,
I mean, it's just like how like the creativity of the game, it like lends itself to almost infinite ways that you can tackle any given problem. Even shrines, where like there are people figuring out ways to like skip puzzles by doing Ruby Goldberg things,
or bomb launches.
Yeah. So, like most other games, like sure people find new ways to like do stuff, but I feel like this game in particular, because of the way, like on a very basic level, they designed it in a way where a lot of its core mechanics can interact and intertwine with one another to like create unexpected results.
That they're going to take out of Tears of the Kingdom.
Maybe?
There's so many things I'm sure they're going to take out. I know Whistle Running is gone.
Whistle Running is gone, but I'm sure there'll be other things to replace it.
There's definitely going to be exploits.
I mean, the fact that you can literally build whatever you want, I think that alone is going to break some stuff.
The rockets are gonna be so sick.
Yeah.
Someone's
I mean,
gonna find a way to like rocket horizontally across the ground.
yeah. Well, I
Fast
think
travel.
that, and the designers of Tears of the Kingdom saw what people were doing when they were traveling like along Breath of the Wild by making those vehicles, like the two mine carts, the two whatever they're called, the carts that you can combine and then use magnesis to fly across the world with. Like they saw stuff like that on Twitter and they were like, "Oh, we'll just do that. We'll just make that a thing that you can do in Tears of the Kingdom," because they were blown away by it. You know?
People are insane. They just will find any little thing that you leave open.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
I just like think that this game kind of nurtures that ideology a lot to where like it's why I can say some people might think that this game is like the greatest game ever, and then others might not. So
Yeah, I mean, like, your tastes are your taste, right? It's all subjective,
yeah,
right? It's like, what does the mass amount of people actually like or dislike? And if you don't like it, then, you don't have to play it. Yeah, totally. 1 second, I'm going to take another quick break to go to the bathroom, and then we're going to come back and talk about some more runes and creativity. I know, I can't stop peeing. 1 second.
man, this is bathroom breaks.
Oh yeah, gotta love it. Taking a wicked piss. What would? Oh jeez, he's probably gonna ask that, isn't he? I was gonna say, what's your favorite type of shrines? He's probably gonna talk about that. Dang.
That's hard for me to think about, just because like it's been so long since I've tackled the shrines.
Okay, what's your least favorite then? I know what you're gonna say.
Anything that involved like gyroscope, anything.
I knew it. I have it written down. Gyroscope-based shrines suck balls is what I put. They are so terrible.
It's either that one or it's the one. It's like one of the ones that are like later on in the game, or like I shouldn't say later on in the game. It's like one of the ones where you have to count certain like ball. It's one of those ball puzzles where you have to count and
the
see
ones
where
on the peaks.
Yeah, those ones. I hated those ones because you have to count.
Take like a picture or remember where.
Yeah, those ones were annoying.
Yeah, they were pretty annoying. I would have never figured that out without stream, though.
I had to figure that one out on my own, and I was just like, I hate this.
I couldn't even find the other shrine. The other shrine was like kind of tucked away.
What are we talking about?
The worst shrines in the game.
Oh, I mean, the ones where you have to use motion controls. It's not even close.
Anything that has to do with the gyroscope sucks balls.
I mean, there are some little tricks to do them, like you can jolt the board and make the ball jump.
You can actually flip it over and then just tilt it out.
Yeah, because if you flip it over, then the ball respawns, so it goes on top of it on the flat surface, and then you just...
Yeah, I've done that.
Like the one you do in Kakariko, for example.
But I was talking about how I hated the ones where you have to, like, count how many balls are there, or, like, how many go in what spot.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mind that. That was a DLC one that I just did. Like, the how many of each color balls and stuff. I didn't care
there was
about
that
it.
one, and then there was another one down in like the mountains, like the icy mountains near Rito Village, where you have to like figure out which one, how like you have to. There's one that has to do with constellations, and then there's
I like those. The constellation ones were pretty good.
It's just like they were so. It felt like it took me so long
to figure it out. Yeah, that one. A few of those took me a while. I took a long time on the shrines, and I didn't even finish half. I think I finished just over half. There's 120.
Yeah.
There's one. There's one that like makes you memorize the pattern of something, and then you have to go into the one next to it, and then put that sequence it. Is that what it is on Dueling Peaks? Okay. Yeah, I remember having to do that.
There's that one, and there's like a constellation one that you have to like put the balls in a certain order that match the constellations where they're glowing.
I like the ones that made you do something in the overworld. Like
those were pretty cool.
So like you had to explore around them to find out the hints to actually get into them. Like talking to Cass, for example, and then he's like, throw something on top of the shrine that will attract lightning, and then the lightning strikes down, and that's how you enter one of the shrines. Yeah.
I like that one.
Or
I really like the Korok ones in the
Oh
forest.
boy, did you? I did not like those ones.
Really? I actually thought those were kind of interesting.
Like the sneaking one?
Yeah.
I didn't like the sneaking one.
It was frustrating because, I mean, obviously when you get set back to the absolute beginning, it's annoying,
Yeah.
but it varies it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I guess if we're talking about shrines, let's see what else.
The best shrine is the labyrinths.
You think so?
The 3 labyrinths?
I didn't finish I only did one of them.
Okay, I loved those.
Did you?
Frustrating. They're so frustrating, but it's rewarding. And also, the one off the coast of Akala is so satisfying because the weapons at that point in the game for me they changed the entire game.
That's the only one I did, was the one in Akala.
I just started cheesing them.
Oh, by using Rivali?
Yeah, I would climb on top and then jump down.
Yeah,
I think
use them a little bit.
the one in Akala was the only one I did, and I actually bomb launched to it. That was when I learned bomb launching. I bomb launched from the tower to the maze. Yes, I remember that specifically. Or around the tower. No, because I can't do it anymore. I'll learn all the tricks in the next game, and I'll remember them.
No, you won't.
Yes, I will.
You'll stop playing the game after you beat it, and you'll forget everything. Then the DLC will come out, and you'll be like, "How do I play this again?"
All right, sure.
2 years.
Sure. At that point, I will, but at least it won't be during the main quest. I can say that much.
We're getting more proficient at the combat, so I hope it doesn't make the game a little bit too easy because we both have just played this game.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
Really good.
I think it's gonna surprise you in some areas because of one, the new enemies, and then two, the new abilities that they give you.
That's one thing we didn't talk about with the combat system is that there's not a lot of enemy variety. There's different health values and
That was
I guess
one of the big complaints.
The color,
yeah,
the different color ones, like how the what was it? The red was the easiest.
Yeah, red, blue, black, silver, gold.
Yeah.
Well, gold only shows up in master mode.
Yeah, and that's only in master mode, right? So when something like a golden Lionel shows up, it was a pretty big deal for people when you can play it in master mode, just because it's a harder challenge. But there's just not a lot of enemy variety in Breath of the Wild, and I really hope that they change that. And we haven't seen any new enemies except for the Gleeok, the 3-headed dragon from the original Legend of Zelda.
There were some new Bokoblin types.
Well, yeah, they have different horns and stuff, different
the Yonai stuff.
Oh, the Zonai.
Oh yeah, the Zonai enemies that you see.
That's true. Yeah, you do see more on the Sky Islands. I really hope so.
There are actually things to explore underground.
Yeah, I hope so.
The Lizalfos aren't nearly as much of a nuisance.
I hate the Lizalfos are my least favorite enemies in the game. I hate them.
The water that pop up are my least favorite.
Oh,
the
Octoroks?
Yes. They're so annoying.
All you gotta do is hold up the shield.
No,
but they are annoying. They are.
When you're swimming.
Oh yeah.
It's mad annoying.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I guess I don't really have much else to say on the shrines. I think that They really varied. I didn't really like the tests of power too much. I feel like every time I went into a shrine that was a test of power, I was like, okay, this is kind of a waste of resources because I'm gonna end up leaving here with weapons that break in 2 seconds because their durability are so low, and I have to use so many of my weapons and my resources here that it's almost counterintuitive to the rest of the combat system.
It would have
Right?
been nice if like the strength of those weapons was like far and away exceeded most other weapons in the game.
Especially for
But
how
they,
low the
but they
durability
kind of
was.
don't. They do early game though, like finding one of those early game and like coming out with whatever like rewards that you get is pretty
Mhm.
cool. But like once you get to end game, when you're starting to get like royal weapons, they kind of just feel like very counterintuitive to where it's like, well, there goes all of my good weapons, and I only got like weapons that were somewhat equal in strength. Maybe have a couple of buffs that like outweigh them a little bit, but then they break, like you said, really quickly.
Yeah.
Even the ones with the durability buff are
They're gone.
they're broken in like 10 hits.
Yeah.
Hopefully, in Tears of the Kingdom, those weapons you can like repair or like upgrade. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Put a
maybe like Pura will have something where you can go to repair them, or the dude at the Akala Ancient Tech Lab,
Yeah.
Something like that. Just more repairing of weapons in general, which Tears of the Kingdom seems to be all about in general with the fuse rune.
Yeah, the
So-
fuse rune is cool because it essentially resets your weapon durability for that object by turning it into a new object.
Yeah. Which just forces you to interact more with the environment than you already were.
Are
Where
the
it go?
slots going to be based on Korok seeds again?
I don't
Cor-
know. I just know they completely like redid the way the inventory looks. I don't know
Okay.
if how it works though is going to be different.
I know Koroks are in the game.
Yeah. So obviously though they will be used for something. Probably your inventory again.
I really hope not. 'Cause that
That's
was
a
stupid.
That's a thing that we didn't even bring up when we were talking about exploration. Koroks, there's so much to this game to talk about.
Too many Korok. 900.
Well, that's the point. That's the point.
Hoop trophy.
You're not supposed to get all 900 of them. You can if you're insane. I'm looking at you, people who got 900 Koroks. But you don't... That's the whole... There's so many of them, I guess, if you're nuts.
People
looking
will.
at you
I
again.
tried.
900.
Bro, the whole reason why there's that many of them is because there's so much to explore in the game that it rewards you for doing so by giving you the Korok Siege, which then expands your power expand your slots and gives you more power. The reason why there's so
moons of
many is
Mario.
because you have to have that many in a map that big, because they're accounting
yeah.
for you. Okay, if I explore this, then I'll get this many. In this many, they're not expecting you to get all 900. They just want you to collect enough to get strong enough. So they have to
Yeah.
scatter enough of them around the map for you to be able to do that in the first
It's like
place.
the moons in Mario Odyssey, where like there's way more than what you need to beat the game.
It reminded me about the. Do you remember the bugs in Twilight Princess? It was that monotonous.
The bugs, like in Hyrule
collecting
Castle
the bugs.
Town.
You collected bugs in Twilight Princess and to expand your rupees.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember that. But this, I feel like, I mean, the currency of Twilight Princess isn't that great in the first place. But I think when it comes to this, at least it ties directly into how you interact with the entire world, right? It's not just your rupees. It's like, that's everything. That's the weapon slots. That's your bow slots. That's your shield slots. That's like the most important thing when it comes to everything that we were just talking about with the weapons durability system and how you interact with everything, So it's like you're being rewarded for exploring more stuff. At least you get something. Because rupees are harder to come across, actually, in this game than the Korok Seeds, for example.
That's true.
But yeah.
The stealth shit.
Yeah, and that's actually a beautiful thing to bring up. You can only make rupees if you interact with the world by going into it in the first place to get the things to sell.
Yeah.
You're rewarded for it, It's not like...
I
It's
still want
the-
to break into someone's house and break their pots and steal their money.
Yeah,
Me too.
I feel that. I think what it is it's like the enemies don't drop hearts, for example. It's like you have to get apples.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same exact concept, just on another level. It's forcing you to explore, to interact with things, and you're rewarded for doing so. That's this game in a nutshell, but in every single system it has to offer.
I do love the cooking aspect. I hope they just make the cooking a little bit more expansive. I think even that would be cool. I did actually really like that aspect of this game. Like, you could cook and get boosts.
Yeah.
It'd feel kind of nice.
Cook and get potions and everything, too.
Yeah.
Just more recipes.
I'm sure they will, too. Not that much of an ask.
Yeah. I'm sure they're probably expanding on everything this game had to offer. Speaking of which, let's talk about probably my least favorite part of this game. I like aspects about it. Let's talk about the Divine Beasts.
Easy.
Yeah. Like, the first one took me a little bit of time. The last one that I did, which was Rivali's, literally took me like 30 minutes.
Are you talking about the bosses at the end?
No,
Or
just
are you
the whole
talking about
dungeon.
the dungeon.
The dungeon itself took me like
Okay.
30 minutes to beat Rivali's.
None of them were all that difficult. Some of them were a little bit monotonous, but they weren't that crazy.
I think I was gonna say I think my favorite one is Von Boris, the one in Gerudo Desert. I think it's the most. I think it's the one you have to interact with the most.
Yeah, because you have to go everywhere to change like the way it's positioned with its tusks and the trunk and everything else on it.
Well, no, that's
No, that's Ruda.
yeah, that's Ruda.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the 360.
Blade.
The 360,
Oh,
like on the
yeah.
inside of it.
to
you have to-
like twist the torso so
Yeah.
different places of it are accessible.
Yeah, there are 3 different things, and twisting those like creates different combinations for you to explore new parts of it. I thought that was like the most fun. Ruda is a good like introductory one, which also it took me a little while. But once I learned that you can move the trunk and stuff like that, I had a lot of fun with it. Like, I remember the what the hell are they called? The control things, control units. You remember?
I think they're called control.
Oh, are they?
They were like the terminals or whatever.
Oh, yeah, the terminals. The one on top of the trunk was my favorite one, like climbing up there and then switching it to be all the way on the bottom, and then like jumping off and using the paraglider to fly back on as it was. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it, but that's how I did it.
That's how I had to do it.
And then landing on it, and like it's super cool. And then like the fact that you can change it so the water falls in certain places to make certain parts of them move, and then if it doesn't, then I think as concepts the Divine Beasts are really cool, but they just first of all they all look the same, which is a strike against them. It makes sense.
Similar.
Yeah, it makes sense that they are, because they're all built by the same people for the same purpose, right? By the Sheikah.
Yeah.
And they all use the Sheikah technology, and it has the same innards and whatnot. As puzzles, I thought they were really cool. Like, I felt a lot of Eureka moments, but I think the thing about them is that in other Zelda games, traditionally, you go into dungeons, you get an item, and then you get to learn how to use that item. In this game, the dungeons can only account for your 4 items, your runes. So you have to use those for all of them. That is the solution to the puzzle always, and you already know that, and it's just like, so that's already an element that's taken out of the equation. Now, how do I use these to my advantage? And it made me feel really smart. You get a lot of those Eureka moments, a lot of those I'm doing this my way moments that other Zelda dungeons don't really have. So it has that going for it. But it has a lot of strikes against them as well. And the fact that there are only 4 of them and they're really short,
Yeah, it's definitely also a case that I feel like the shrines kind of exhaust your enthusiasm to do the dungeons, because it just kind of feels like shrine but bigger type of deal.
An expanded shrine, yeah, for sure.
So like by the time you get to one of these divine beasts, especially like later on throughout the game, you kind of feel like yeah, we're doing this song and dance again. I could just be doing shrines that are literally just bite-sized versions of this where I don't have to be here for too long. I just kind of do the puzzle and I get out and I'm back to exploring the overworld again. And like the visual design of the Divine Beasts don't do it any favors either, like you were saying, where I feel like if in the insides were a little bit more themed visually, like tailored towards each of the Divine Beasts or like the areas that they were in, I feel like that alone would help greatly in at least making it more visually distinct and interesting for you to like traverse. I think like Rudania is maybe like the only one that I found visually interesting because the water appears in the inside.
Yeah, that's true. Well, even in Von Naboris, I mean,
you get some electricity.
It's electricity. I think that the theming of a lot of them was like either wind, fire, electricity, or water, and the same things were the case in the shrines that were kind of surrounding that area. Like when you enter those towns, for example, the shrine revolving them introduces you to the fact that, okay, you're going to be using electric stuff in this area. You get the electric Lizalfos in Gerudo Desert.
Yes.
And all this other stuff, right? And then when you enter that Divine Beast, you have to use electricity to your advantage or, learn how to use it in order to complete it. It's almost... So by the time you're over there, it's like, okay, I kind of already understand what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it also does feel samey because you've been doing it in that area already.
Yeah, I feel like Skyward Sword kind of did what Breath of the Wild does better as far as weaving in just natural puzzles that don't take place in the dungeon with the actual dungeon itself. I feel like if they had kind of looked more at how Skyward Sword handled things, they could have maybe tried to manage it a little bit better with Breath of the Wild, but who knows?
Now,
it's looking like Tears of the Kingdom is leaning towards that, though.
Yeah,
I can see.
Friedrich, did you see the spoiler that Nintendo? Well, I say spoiler, but in their Q&A,
spoiler,
their Q&A that they had yesterday. Did you see anything about it?
I didn't look at anything. I've been staying away from YouTube.
Okay, this wasn't even on YouTube. Well, I guess it was on YouTube. It was just a developer Q&A.
Oh,
I've
been trying to stay away. It's tomorrow, so it's not that big a deal at this point.
Okay.
If you want to go over it.
There are huge dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom that are region specific.
Thank God.
That are themed.
It was so boring.
So,
besides,
well, I mean, like what that entails, who knows? It could just be more Divine Beasts that are just better. So
it could be, but they said that they were huge and that they took a lot of time designing them, that the internals of them are all themed to the region. And that,
I have faith that they kind of went back to their roots a little bit with... I think they did take the Skyward Sword approach and have it so these dungeons are like interweaved with the region, and like you'll kind of figure out a way... some puzzle to unlock them.
Yeah. It's essentially Zelda in a nutshell, or at least like 3D Zelda in a nutshell up until Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Right? Or even in Breath of the Wild. I mean, you have to do stuff to get into the dungeon. Right?
Yeah, but like, it's not the same. You kind of do like this mini like mission to get in there, and then there's a cutscene, and then you go in, and it's like, cool. Mm-hmm. It felt very structured. Like, out of all the areas of Breath of the Wild that, like, feel free form and kind of just do everything on like make it your way kind of deal, that's the one area of the game that feels like it's not, and I think that's why a lot of people like have some type of distaste for it, because it kind of breaks the immersion a little bit. That was my biggest problem with the game, and it probably still is the fact that, and I'll get into this now because I guess we can head into stories, right? We can start to head into it. I always felt like I was being pulled into two completely separate directions when I was playing this game. One direction was like, go complete the main quest and do the 4 Divine Beasts. And the other one was like, go play the Zelda game.
Does that make sense?
So
yeah, I
true.
can feel that.
So true.
For me, it was a little less so because like it just felt like, okay, these are the places that I eventually have to visit. I know that for certain, but I can kind of take my time and explore while I'm making my way to each key location, and I would find like a memory here and there occasionally, and then I'd be like, okay, well, I know this memory is in this location, which is also by where a divine beast is. So I'll kill two birds with one stone. I'll get the memory while I'm there, then go do the mission, and I'll get like more story context, like story beats will kind of connect the dots with each other over time, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can understand that too. I think with me, it always felt like a nagging feeling of having to do it, of like having to go beat the 4 divine beasts and do those segments. Like I wasn't excited to do that. Because I knew that I was having much more fun actually just exploring and interacting with the gameplay loop. And I think part of it was the fact that the reward for doing so was just a divine beast with a little bit of story stuff that I wasn't too like invested in, because sure, it has an influence on the present, but at the end of the day, it was taking place in the past, and it just wasn't enough for me. Once I cleared the 4 divine beasts, it was like a burden had been lifted. Like I got something off my chest. I'm not carrying this thing on my back anymore. Now I feel free. Like I can breathe in the breath of the wild, right?
Yeah,
it was
well,
only
like
after that.
For me, it was like, okay, well, now what do I do? I did all the main objectives the game needed outside of Ganon. I've got the Master Sword already. I don't know really what else to do besides like go to shrines that feel like mini dungeons, where I kind of just wish there were more dungeons, but
yeah, or just like more places like Hyrule Castle, where you went and explored it and could revisit it multiple times, because that's one like dungeon we didn't talk about was Hyrule Castle, which is so goddamn good.
Yep. The best soundtrack in the entire game.
Yeah, for sure.
Easily.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I think some of the towns have some good songs, but like
Hyrule Castle is like the one like thing that feels like a traditional dungeon in Breath of the Wild, because of the fact that you're going from like the top to the bottom, and eventually it culminates in this unique boss, and the game challenges you constantly while you're out there.
I think what was cool about it is that, or just that dungeon design in general, because it's not like traditional Zelda dungeon design.
Yeah, no.
It isn't, because the fact that you can just go there and immediately go fight Ganon. The thing that was cool about it is that it rewards you for exploring it. It tells you what your main objective is right off the bat. Like, you already have the map and compass as soon as you enter that goddamn dungeon. It's the fact that you can go at any... And, like, imagine that there was, like, a Gerudo temple in the desert, right? You go in there, you know where the boss is. You see all of the stuff around you for you to explore. You gather weapons, materials, whatever else high-powered stuff that you're going to need to interact with that combat system, and then you go fight that boss. That's what's cool about it. What's cool about Hyrule Castle. There's so much for you to see and do before you go fight Ganon that could help you in that boss fight. Now, imagine it wasn't the very last thing you did, and imagine it was just a temple out that you had to do instead, where like you weren't super powered up and you actually get strengthened by exploring the dungeon first. Like, you can still do it your way, but it's beneficial for you to explore it first, where you're not going into it with like 3,000 defense and like whatever else, you know what I mean?
If you could do that and have all of them, all of the divine beasts similar to that style, that would be much better. Because it would be more in depth. It wouldn't feel so out of the way and like just like a task that you don't want to do. Because I agree with your point. I did not have as much fun doing the divine beast as I did just traversing the environment. The environment is what made the game.
Right. And I think that like you already get enough of the puzzle solving and everything in the shrines themselves that you don't really need the divine beasts. Like, if you had 5 Hyrule castles, like unique Hyrule castles that were region specific, and some mini dungeons, you don't need to have those giant puzzle solving machines in the divine beasts, because you already have that in the shrines. At least that's what I think. What do you think, Craftis? Do you like agree or disagree with that, or?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds agreeable.
Yeah. I think it would kind of cut some of the monotonous elements of them, or like feeling like you're doing the same thing that you were already doing in the shrines that kills them.
Yeah.
It gives just some more variety.
Repetitive.
Here's hoping.
Yeah.
Only
Here
a
is
couple more
hoping.
hours left.
I know. 2.5 more hours.
For me, anyway, not for you.
You're gonna be halfway done the game by the time Juice starts.
True, even though I have work tomorrow at like 3, so I can only play for so long.
I'm sick. I'm so sorry. I'm not gonna make it in.
I mean, knowing myself, I could probably squeeze in playing Tears of the Kingdom while I'm at work.
There you go. I guess as far as the story goes, I think that this is one of the best stories in the series. I do not like how it's told. Even though you have to explore to get it, and I like that as an element, I think after playing Age of Calamity, which I guess doesn't really count. Yeah, I think that has something to do with it, because it makes you feel that much more attached to the characters, and then coming back to Breath of the Wild. And then coming back to Breath of the Wild after, it's like, even without that though, the characters of Breath of the Wild are good. It's just getting to see them. Yeah, it's just getting to see them in a sequential way where you get to actually experience that story. It wasn't the same story, but getting to experience those characters in the present does so much for your enjoyment of Breath of the Wild, at least for me.
Like, that's why I told you, you have to play Age of Calamity, or else you wouldn't have liked... Because I think if you had just went and beaten Breath of the Wild and hadn't played Age of Calamity at all, I don't think the ending would have hit nearly as hard.
Maybe
Since
not.
You wouldn't have had such an attachment with, like, Zelda, or, like, Urbosa, or, like, Rivali, Mipha, and Daruk, because you don't really get to spend a lot of time with them. You do, like, over the course of Breath of the Wild, they do try to make you feel attached to them, but I think because everything's happening in the past, there's this weird dissonance where, like, you want to feel compelled to like these characters more, but because everything with them has already happened, and you know there's, like, nothing else to expect with them, that you're kind of just left with, like, this feeling of, well, we could have had these really great moments, but we're not getting them because you're dead.
Right.
Whereas Age of Calamity is like, okay, here's all these characters that you wanted more interactions with in a setting that actually lets you feel like empathize with them and like grow with them over the narrative. And then we get to this climactic build-up in the story that now you feel like you care for these characters in. And you don't really get that with Breath of the Wild, save for, like, maybe Zelda a little bit. Or maybe, like, the new champions that you meet. And you only briefly interact with them over the narrative.
Yeah, I mean, there are some things where, like, if you do enough side quests with them, then you get to see bonus scenes, or... There's a lot of... And I'll get into this after we talk about the actual narrative. I'll get into this after we talk about the narrative, but there's a lot of environmental storytelling with the new and old champions, or just the game in general, that plays much more into the story than their cutscenes could ever hope to do in Breath of the Wild. But yeah, as far as the narrative goes, I think the narrative of Breath of the Wild is one of the coolest ones.
It's just one of the strongest premises for sure.
Yeah. Like, when I think about the stories that beat it out, I'm thinking, like...
Execution is everything.
Yeah, it's like the way that the story is told to you plays a huge part into how you experience it. And it's how I experienced the story that I did not like. At least, like... Okay, how I experienced the narrative of Breath of the Wild that I did not like. I'll say that. Unfortunately, but that's just a sacrifice of making the type of game that they did, you know? Like, I don't really know how you...
felt skippable. Almost. I felt like I could just skip it and I wouldn't have been affected at all.
Yeah, because, like, in between the memories or the Divine Beast, you're doing so much stuff that you feel so detached from whatever happened 100 years ago that it's like, okay, now I'm getting the next thing that happened 100 years ago, and it's like it happened at a different time than you just were, and then already these things are like here and here. Like, how am I supposed to put these things together? Like, it's only when you watch all the memories like sequentially after that you're like, okay, that's a pretty cool story. Yeah, it's like, oh, okay.
The game doesn't do a good job of presenting you with a need of urgency unless your main focus is the memories. Then you have some, like, then the game makes you feel like, yeah, I gotta go defeat Ganon. Like when you were playing through and you did the master trials and everything, and you would see these memories, or you did the memories, you were like, I feel like I want to go beat Ganon, but I can't right now.
Yeah,
and I feel like that feeling kind of gets exasperated for, I think, about everybody when they play through the game, because it's like, oh, I want to go do this, but I clearly can't right now, and then you get sidetracked and then you completely forget.
Yeah. It was, completing the memories last was actually kind of cool. I kind of liked it because that was at a point where I was ready to go fight Ganon. I mean, I was doing the DLC because I was doing it for stream, but if I wasn't streaming, then I would have gone to fight Ganon right there and then. Once you get all the memories and you watch that last one, and there's nothing in the game more than that last memory that I saw that made me want to go stop Ganon. Nothing came close until that last memory.
You beat the rest of the DLC, so you don't have all the cutscenes.
Yeah, but no one. I mean, okay, I don't want to see no one, but most people did not beat the DLC before they beat the game.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, if there was an optimal way to experience Breath of the Wild, it would be like, you do the Divine Beasts, you get the Master Sword, you do the 5th DLC dungeon, I think, and then you beat Ganon. I think that would be the optimal way to go about doing the game's, like events, to where you feel you got, like, a fuller experience.
Maybe. I mean, I don't really know the cutscene in the last Divine Beast in Breath of the Wild, but I do.
Like, what you get as a reward for you get, like, more story beats and some additional context and some, like, quality of life cutscenes, essentially.
I see.
That dive more into each character on a personal level, sort of like what happened with what you saw with the Urbosa.
Right. Yeah. I could see that. I just
kind of culminates in like one last cutscene with them all together.
I just think the final cutscene in the memories of Link, like, basically dying and Zelda unlocking her powers, going to stop Ganon, and you, like, being so weak in that moment and having to go to the Shrine of Resurrection is the thing where it's like, now I'm back to reality. Right now, I can go stop this. Like, that was the empowering moment for me playing through it.
Same thing with the scene with the Master Sword.
Yeah.
Where she puts it away and everything.
Yeah, that was another good moment. What about you, Friedrich? Like, when you completed the memories, did you have, like, a similar feeling at all, or like the very last one, or?
Not really. I wish I did. I didn't really have that many feelings towards it.
I see.
I didn't want to go save Zelda.
At that point, I was like, okay, I want to kill Ganon and just be done with this game.
I see.
See ya, Zelda. You can take care of your own issues. I'm just here to get rid of Ganon and go back to sleep.
Excited for the new game.
So, did you do the final memory? Because when I was watching you stream yesterday, but you didn't get the 13th.
Oh, the one in Impa's house?
Yeah.
I did not do that one, no.
No, that's, like, the best scene.
That's why you didn't see that cutscene until I streamed today. That final one.
Yeah.
So you never
get all the memories. You get like the true.
Because I was
ending.
a little lost listening to you guys. Because
okay.
yeah.
So you didn't. So you didn't see the final memory nor the final cutscene at the end of the credits because of that.
Man,
really.
But
that's
yeah,
like the best. Like that memory is probably like one of the best cutscenes in the game. It's also the one they kind of hyped up in the trailer when they like were getting ready to launch the game.
yeah. I think it's the longest one too.
Yeah.
It's the.
Rip.
So that's why.
That man was going ham on all those Guardians.
I guess that makes sense as to why you wouldn't feel like you wanted to go beat Ganon after seeing the final memory if it wasn't actually the memory that I was even talking about.
I wish
wanted to
in
get
that
it,
memory
but
that they had showed. I wish in that memory they had showed like Link actually like defeating Guardians.
Yeah.
Because
Like,
it sort of just implied that he took all those Guardians out. That's why he's all like tattered and beaten. But it would have been cool to actually see him like physically take down a Guardian, get injured, and then that thing happens.
Right.
Mm.
As far as environmental storytelling goes, I think that's really where this game shines, because regardless of everything that's happened in the past, I think the beauty of it all comes from all of the NPCs who are forming these towns and living in this post-apocalyptic world, reading the diaries to see the thoughts of all of these characters, like Urbosa's diary, or Zelda's diary, or King Rome's diary in Hyrule Castle, or just like the fact that all of these characters are living regardless of how much hope is there. It's like holding on to that little amount of hope that they have is what's keeping the world alive, and you're living through that and seeing the results of that. They're all surviving regardless of the fact that Ganon is there. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's a key part of the story. And not to mention the environmental storytelling in the world itself. I mean, you can see how the world crumbled to nothing after the Calamity 100 years ago. That's all storytelling in itself, which is really cool to see. Just more to explore, and you know, you could almost say it's a reward in itself to be exploring and to see more of that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, world building definitely, or like the world itself, like telling a story, kind of helps to supplement the lack of actual in the present cutscenes to a degree. Do I 100% like agree with doing things that way? Sort of, not really, but like there really wasn't much else I feel like they could do. I feel like this game, they were definitely still trying to figure out how to tackle the like open world genre for Zelda while also still being able to tell a story that leaves you feeling satisfied. And you can definitely tell that they were kind of struggling in that department for sure. And hopefully they figured out something. At least it feels like they have, just based off of the trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, that they've figured out some way to tie in this open world gameplay with a narrative that makes me feel like I need to keep progressing through the story and going to these places in the game in order to figure out what happens.
I hope so. I don't think the stories in Zelda have ever been like to the same level as something like Final Fantasy.
No, but like they don't really need to.
No, I'm not saying that they need to, but like they have strong theming. Like in a game like Majora's Mask, the storytelling is given to you through the world around you and how you interact with it. Ocarina of Time is a story about growing up, but the narrative doesn't necessarily tie itself into that 100%. But it's still a story that like ties you through it. Twilight Princess had wonderful characters such as Midna, right? And like you starting off in Ordon Village,
It's a shame
And-
you didn't get to play Skyward Sword. I
and
think
going
you
through
would've,
that
like, really
darkness.
enjoyed that story.
Yeah, and well, okay, I know a lot of the story about Skyward Sword. I just haven't gotten to play it yet because obviously the game has been out forever.
Yeah,
So
but I
like,
just feel like experiencing it for yourself and getting
Yeah.
to appreciate the narrative from start to finish in like just as a package, I feel like you would have enjoyed the narrative a lot. That's
I'll-
like arguably one of its strongest.
yeah, I'll get around to it. I think people enjoy the narrative of Skyward Sword quite a bit, and like the character of Zelda and her dynamic with Link in that game, and you know the romance, even I'll say in it.
It's very
Right.
much a precursor to like this game as far as like how they characterize Link and Zelda's relationship. It's very much feel like you can see where the DNA of Skyward Sword bleeds its way into like Breath of the Wild's characters in that sense, where the relationship between Zelda and Link is very much at the forefront. in most of
Yeah,
this.
I thought you were trying to compare like Skyward Sword Zelda to Breath of the Wild Zelda
No,
as
I was just
characters
saying,
for a
like,
second.
how they bring out the relationship between those two and keep it at the forefront of the narrative in a way that makes the player feel compelled to have to help Zelda is very similar between Skyward Sword and this.
Yeah, I think Skyward Sword does a much better job at that, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Because,
But
I
that's
mean,
also
obviously,
just because
it's
the
a
way the game's
linear.
structured.
Yeah, it's a linear structure of a game. Who are your favorite characters in the game?
Mine's, I mean, outside of like Zelda is probably like Rivali.
Really, you liked Rivali? He kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit.
Like I liked that because it felt like there was a character that was actually willing to like question and challenge Link in a way. Whereas everyone else kind of is just like, yeah, sure, we'll go along with it because that's what we got to do. Whereas Rivali actually like questions the like player or like Link's skills as a swordsman. Whereas like in previous Zelda games, you kind of started from the bottom and worked your way up. And in Breath of the Wild, Link's already the knight. He already has the Master Sword. So it's kind of like, well, there really isn't much that I have to do as far as like growth. So like, how do I know that I'm capable of doing anything? And he's kind of like that voice. It's like, oh, are you really as good as you say you are? Because
Yeah,
no one else has seen you do any of these things.
other than
see
Zelda
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, I totally get that too. I don't think it's as impactful when you're actually playing through Breath of the Wild as it is like through Age of Calamity, or if you put the whole story together, because otherwise it kind of just, he does come off like a little bit of a jerk. But it's, to talk about the character of Rivali is to talk about his own insecurities, because he was jealous that he couldn't take down
Yeah.
Ganon himself. So there's like, it's a twofold thing. Yeah, he is playful, but it's his insecurities it's like projecting all this stuff onto Link.
Yeah.
Because Link is a blank slate, and that's what makes him being a blank slate a beautiful thing as well. Not that Link doesn't have character traits, but when you're quiet, oh, and this is talking about extroversion and introversion and a lot of different elements of real life, right? But if you're a quiet person and someone else has insecurities and they're an extrovert, and you're not talking to them, you're not like interacting with things, then they're going to think you hate them based off of their own insecurities. This is just a play off of that dynamic. It's like you're able to project whatever you want onto the blank slate because it's a blank slate, it's a blank canvas. That's exactly what Rivali is doing to Link. Does that make sense?
That
Yeah.
does make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, Link does talk, just not to us. Or he I mean, he talks about how he like. I'm pretty sure it was written in Zelda's diary, like something Link had said about why he's quiet.
Yeah, it says that he's quiet because he focuses his energy on his responsibilities and doesn't feel like there was some explanation like that. But it's the, you know, regardless of that, he's like very like humble and down to earth and just goes with the flow. And
I mean, this man be eating rocks.
yeah, he just eating rocks. Like he'll his two character traits is he eats whatever because he's really hungry, and he's loved being a swordsman since a child. Like that's
Eats rocks and likes swords.
yeah, yeah. Like he's very much sure he talks, but he's not talking unless spoken to. Usually, you know, he's not one to like bite back on things. When Zelda like
Quiet lad.
is yelling at him for not following him, he just goes and follows her anyway after because it's his duty. That's all he really cares about, right?
My favorite's Sidon. I don't know why. Kind of liked him.
I like Sidon as well. I think my favorite champion is Urbosa, probably. I love the character of Urbosa.
Yeah.
I think she's such a badass. She's such a girl boss. I love her. And it just like the way that she cares for Zelda in her story of, you know, she was friends with the queen before she passed, and so she took on Zelda as almost like another motherly figure for her. That's why she calls her Little Bird, and she's out there to protect. And she's just always a bad, and like her emotional intelligence to be able to detect like the Yiga clan that was behind her in that sick cutscene, where she's just like walking with Zelda, and she's just like, unlike you guys, I prefer to fight my enemies head on. Show yourselves, blah blah blah. And then she turns around, and then they go after her, and then she just absolutely wipes them out clean. She is just so goddamn cool. Love her ability to rule. And then that goes into Riju too, and how kind of she lives in Urbosa's shadow, which you see in Gerudo Town, and how she's like trying to be the next Urbosa, but she just doesn't have the same confidence. And you see that in Age of Calamity as well, which is shown, where she's like, I don't know if I can like do the same things that you do. And yeah, I really like Sidon just because he's so. I think the thing that I like about Sidon is that he's so charismatic, regardless of everything that's going on around him. And hello MK, welcome in. We're talking about Breath of the Wild. He's so charismatic regardless of what's going on about him, and he also has this element to him where it's like, I think all of the champions are this way, where they're all living under the old champion's shadows. Now that I really think about it, I think
to some degree.
Yeah, it's all kind of it always comes up. And with Sidon, it's not necessarily living under Mipha's shadow, but it's part of his story regardless. It's like, you know, you see Mipha talking to young Sidon saying, if, you know, whatever, if fate do us part, then, you know, all this stuff. And
I think his is more regret than it is like the feeling of being in her shadow.
Yeah, you're right. I guess it's just like
pretty confident.
Yeah, no,
like,
he is
protect her.
Yeah, he couldn't protect her, and also he wants. I think the thing about Sidon is that he wants recognition, and we see it in Age of Calamity where, you know, Mipha is proud of him and stuff like that, and he just like fights back this. It's like the thing that he's been searching for his whole life, and he got it.
Yeah. Like that,
you know,
that redemption to fix what he couldn't do before.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I think they do it beautifully in Age of Calamity. And that's why it's really cool to see those characters interact, even though it never would have happened in the main timeline, because obviously she's dead, along with all the other old champions. But yeah.
A part of me is sad that like Age of Calamity is the way it is, because I know for a fact that a lot of people are angry that it didn't go in the way of the original Breath of the Wild, where everyone fails.
Yeah, I think...
But I kind of don't mind it.
I like the way that I like the story of the game, except for the random pulling in the old champions back, but it allowed for so many cool character moments, I don't care. Where Age of Calamity screwed up was calling itself a prequel to Breath of the Wild. Like, calling itself the canonical prequel to Breath of the Wild.
I mean, they're not wrong when it... They're not wrong, but they're not right. They're like 50-50. Because like you could for sure play that game, and you could get right up to the moment where the champions are supposed to meet their end, and then go play Breath of the Wild, and I don't think much would change from a narrative perspective. It's if you keep playing that the game then takes like a sharp right turn, and it's like, well, here's this new thing that happens.
It's like the same thing as Final Fantasy VII Remake saying it's a remake of Final Fantasy VII.
I mean, they're not wrong, but they're not right.
They're both wrong. They're different.
It's a retelling.
Well, they're both different narratives going in different places. Like, one's a sequel, and one's an alternate timeline prequel.
Well, yeah, but like,
you know,
for most people who play it, they're not going to know that.
Me, because I didn't play the original.
but regardless,
I had no idea Age of Calamity was going in the direction it was going until that moment when like he shot like that laser beam into the sky, and then you started going to the divine beasts again.
Yeah,
everyone. That's when I was kind of getting ideas of, okay, something's up here, because this doesn't feel like the finale to the game. It's definitely a very tense moment, but it didn't feel final to me. So
yeah, I feel that. I guess I don't know. I just think that they could have marketed it in a way that it was like the what if scenario, you know, like what if the prequel or the events of Breath of the Wild happened this way, you know.
I feel like that would have turned a lot of people off, though. Yeah,
but it's still, I don't think it's not honest marketing, and I have the same problem with Remake. But I don't want to get too off topic and talk too much about Age of Calamity. I think it is necessary to talk about, but I don't want to. I do think it's dishonest marketing, you know. Like I don't want the focus to be on it
for marketing the game that way. But like I understand what you mean. I mean, hey, it gives us another timeline. We have the timeline where the champions survived, and then we have the timeline where the champions didn't.
Yeah.
So, who knows? It could end up be like Breath of the Wild could be our Ocarina event for like another branch of timeline.
Yeah, because if the new champions getting sent back to the past to help out the old ones and then being sent back is canonical in Tears of the Kingdom, then that's going to be interesting.
I feel like they won't bother to bring it up. It'll just kind of be one of those implied, like, oh yeah, this you can consider this canon if you want, but we're not going to ever really address it in like future titles.
I guess
sort of
they could. Because
like we never knew that there was a timeline where Link dies against Ganon, and that creates its own separate path. No one ever knew that until the encyclopedia came out and said it. And
yeah, but I mean, it's pretty. I mean, all of the story is there in Age of Calamity to tell you that anyway, and it's a direct like prequel, sequel, and then another sequel. I mean, at the very least, there's probably going to be some Easter eggs referring to like what's his name, the egg dude.
Terrico?
Yeah, Terrico.
Cool. I mean, he still exists in Breath of the Wild. He has to.
Yeah. So we'll see.
There's very well that they could include Easter eggs if they were smart. That they would try to tie something into Age of Calamity, especially if they want to make it canon, as they were saying that it was like a canonical game. Because I would be surprised if it wasn't.
I'm sure everything is canon in some way, but just because something is canon doesn't mean it's in the same like timeline. You know, it just means that these events did happen in the Zelda universe canonically.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like we do have a timeline split somewhere.
Yeah,
because of this, just by the very nature of the way they've operated before, which would be cool because then we could get a Zelda game that's like a sequel to the Age of Calamity timeline. That brings like this new Ganon that we're getting back in that game.
Maybe, yeah, we'll see. I guess the only other thing I want to talk about, the story and characters, is Zelda and Rome. Where I think there are a couple elements to Zelda's character that are pretty cool that they explored. One being self-confidence. Two being the loss of a parent. 3, Rome and Zelda's relationship and how he was forced into treating her as not a daughter. And 4, like, actually being able to be yourself, right? So the first one is one that I don't see brought up very often. I actually made a juicy fact of the day about it the other day because it was just on my mind. And let me just read it out loud. Zelda is the reincarnation of Hylia, right? We know this is the case in every game.
Yep.
Though Hylia is also worshipped by the people of Hyrule as a separate entity in Breath of the Wild, because Zelda lost her mother in the game, she had to guide in helping her unlock the power kept dormant within herself. Like her mother could not do that any further. Because of this, Zelda had to figure it out by herself. She had very low confidence and no faith in her ability to stop the Calamity, but did end up unlocking it when it was needed the most to save Link. If you really think about it, it seems like a pretty on-the-nose representation for what it means to not believe in yourself, since Hylia is literally Zelda, and the only time that power was used was when she had no other choice but to believe in herself to save Link.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. I mean,
yeah, it's not one that I ever see brought up because it's like the theming of Breath of the Wild with Zelda is always on like the research part, right? I never hear anyone talk about the fact that she's a reincarnation of Hylia and like she could only use that power when she believed in herself to save Link. That like she had no other choice, and herself inside is still Hylia, like that's still within her. So I guess that's just something I wanted to bring up because I've never heard it being said. But yeah, go on. What were you gonna say, Craftis?
Oh, I was gonna say, like, it feels like, to me, the reason why her powers awakened was due to, like, a strong sense of, oh, I want to protect him type of deal, due to their relationship having grown the way it did.
Yeah.
To where it's either you do this or he dies.
Exactly. And you have no other choice but to believe in yourself in that moment. It's like, it's life or death. This thing that you care about lives or dies. That's it. You can throw your hand out there and you're going to believe that this is going to work, or you're going to hope like hell that it is. Otherwise, that's it, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it necessarily means you have to believe in your power awakening, but it could be more so like in her desperate like want to save him, she just awakens her, like the power comes to her.
Yeah.
And like all the other times she just wanted to awaken her power just because it's what everyone else wants of her. It's not something that she actually truly wanted from the bottom of her heart to awaken her power, because she just wanted to be like an archaeologist and just do like have fun doing that. Where here she like
it was forced on her
to do this.
She wants to, otherwise she loses the one person that she has a really close connection with, that she's gone with over time. I just think it's another element to the dynamic that could make it even stronger. You know what I mean? Like it's a twofold
case that you can bring up, and it's a fair assessment.
I think it's like a twofold thing, right? It only makes it stronger that bringing up both things for sure, because the main one is exactly what you're saying. Like that's the one that the game is trying to tell you the entire time.
Like it's finally her doing something because she wants to, not because she has to. I mean, I shouldn't say like she has to do this, but she wants to do this. She wants to save him. So her powers awaken in response to it, as opposed to, oh, well, you have to awaken your power because you have to, or else the kingdom is doomed. Even though she doesn't want to have to go to all these places. It's also why at the end of the game, she's like, well, I don't mind that I can't hear your sword anymore because I don't have to.
Yeah, I don't have to do it anymore. Now I can live free to be my researcher self.
Rocks, Hyrule, I'm going to go study rocks.
Like she still wants to do her duty for Hyrule, but she wants to do it in the way that she wants to do it. She wants to do the research to help everyone, like she's wanted to do since she was a kid, and Rome told her, no, you have to awaken your power. You know?
also funny that this is like the first Zelda that we actually get any sort of like visual representation or like anything visual about like Zelda's mom. We've never really gotten any of that before. That's pretty cool.
I mean, even King Rome, we've only seen a king in Zelda, like in A Link to the Past, right?
And Wind Waker.
Oh yeah, of course. I can't believe I forgot that.
First big one.
Yeah. I don't know how I forgot that. Yeah, the King of Red Lions.
And then he's also in he's also in Skyward Sword, but he's a different name.
Oh, that's true.
He's
like
the name of the owl from
I was gonna say he looks like an owl in that game. Do you have any thoughts on Zelda, Fred?
Not really.
No, you don't like Tsundere Zelda?
Tsundere?
I mean, she's a little bit of one.
No, Tsundere is... I'm only joking. No, the Tsundere archetype is way more extreme than that. Tsundere is like... I don't even... It's not like I like you or anything. It's like an anime thing. Like, the Tsundere line is, it's not like I like you or anything, Baka. Like, stupid. You know, that's kind of like...
She has hints of that. Yeah. Maybe not in like the, oh, I have feelings type of way, but more so in the like, oh, I don't want you around me.
Yeah. I was just joking. I mean, she does develop. Yeah, she does end up developing feelings for Link at some point.
Complex goes hard.
Yeah, it was the fact that
accentuates it even more.
Yeah, and Urbosa explains it. It's like Link represents the fact that Zelda is not able to do her duties, and Link is constantly following her around, doing what he has to do for the kingdom.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
courage, man.
He's the courage. Link is everything she is not, able to carry out everything that he needs to do without question perfectly because he has to do that. There's no other way, and she can't. And it's like, GG's, bro. I don't like being around you. You make me feel like nothing.
Exactly, and it's the same thing with Rivali.
And then it's funny that like he has the exact opposite effect, where because of him, she's able to do everything. So.
Yeah.
They complement each other.
Well, eventually.
Fit in this, huh?
Oh, I know exactly where Ganon fits. Oh, the pie? Yeah. We're gonna cut it with the fork? We're gonna go... What the hell is that thing that we were talking about with the pie at Uno? I don't remember.
Oh, no, don't bring that up.
Okay.
Oh, God, what are you talking about?
Oh, nothing. Just silly stuff. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much all I have to say on Breath of the Wild. Do you guys have any like closing thoughts before I say mine, or like did you write down anything to bring up?
Thing?
Oh yeah, shield surfing is cool. You can do it on sand.
Yeah, apparently you can also do it on rails in Tears of the Kingdom.
What? There's rail grinding with shields?
Yeah.
Spoilers.
You can blame Nintendo for tweeting that out. They're live right now. There's like a little infographic thing too that pops up in the right corner that says,
my God.
To shield surf, jump, and then while holding a shield, then press A while in the air. Cool. Okay, well, that's there you go.
Dang.
Rail surfing.
That's gonna be interesting.
They already showed it in the trailer, I'm pretty sure. Like there was a moment where he was like grinding down on a shield.
On a rail?
Yeah.
I don't remember this. I don't remember seeing that.
It was like a very quick snippet. He was like grinding down a rail.
I don't think I saw
like,
that.
Oh, you can grind on rails?
Sonic Adventure 2?
SA2? Sonic is everywhere.
Damn.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing that.
When's the podcast juice where you go about like Sonic's effect on the gaming sphere?
Jeez.
Because it runs deep. It truly does.
That would... Oh, that's a tough one. I would have to start from like Pong or something. I would probably, like, if I'm gonna do that, I would start with Mario and then go into like the original Zelda 1. and talk
well, I
about.
just meant like how like SA2 or like Sonic in general events, like a lot of the things that like that genre or that series has done has found its way to permeate into other series.
Sure, yeah. I think that there can be something. I like to go into that like when I tackle the games themselves. Like when I talk about Zelda 1, I'm sure I'll talk about Metroidvanias, which is essentially Zelda 1 but 2D.
Talking about how it's like inspired by the Sonic universe.
Well,
Like
just
how
like
other
how
games
those,
are?
like how that series has elements in it that you find in other games, and like they take inspiration from.
Yeah.
All art
I mean,
is derivative.
You can say that about a ton of games, but it's just
Oh,
funny
yeah.
that you'll always see like someone say this about, oh, they're copying from this Sonic game.
Yeah,
I mean, people could probably say that that Breath of the Wild is copying like aspects of like Skyrim or something.
Yeah.
Or Oblivion.
I mean, that'll always be the case.
and Skyrim taking things from Zelda before it, everything is derivative, right? Like
there is no original IP.
Yeah, it's all taken from each other.
Reused somewhere.
But you were going through your notes to see if you had anything, like any conclusions to say, Friedrich?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the music and how it kind of needs work.
Oh, I
It has
see.
its moments.
There was only like 3 parts in the game that I thought the music really enhanced the experience. And that was when you fought Guardians for the first time. That music, that piano, when it comes in, that hits hard, and you're actually like, it makes you kind of scared, actually.
The heart palpitations going on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The DLC's final boss theme goes crazy.
And then I thought Ganon's the castle.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Like, I thought that was really well done.
Korok's Forest is pretty cool too.
Oh, like the Lost Woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that one was not bad. Not bad.
It added to the environment.
Yeah, but other than that, I think just traveling through the environment, it was a little lackluster.
Yeah, it would be better. Well, okay, it would be pretty cool if like the overworld had some more whimsical music to kind of spice things up a little bit. Which, from what I've seen of Tears of the Kingdom and the brief footage, I have a little bit higher hopes.
Oh yeah? Okay.
I know that you can continue your thought. I was just thinking of something.
Cuz like the music doesn't seem as monotone in some of their like Twitter clips that they've shown. Where there actually seems to be like some sort of melody that plays in certain areas, but
when going into Breath of the Wild, the composers of Zelda did not want to use anything that came before. They ended up reusing some themes, obviously, but they went into it with a completely fresh slate. That was their idea going into it. Which is why you don't have any motifs in like Kakariko Village or in like all this stuff. You have some, like you have the Dragon Roost, right? And you have Hyrule Castle, and you have the main theme in Zelda's Lullaby. That's pretty much it that I can think of as far as themes that are reused from other games.
Yeah, I can't think of any others.
Yeah.
So
So
it went nostalgic at the very, very end in like the credit scenes, but other than that, not really.
I liked the main theme of Breath of the Wild. I don't think it's like that amazing, but I like it. I like the village themes. I like the tone that they sent, like Hateno Village and the Kakariko Village themes. They're not like amazing as far as melodies go. Like the old Kakariko Village and stuff like that is just fantastic. It blows everything that this game has out of the water when it comes to town themes, but it still sets the mood.
In Twilight Princess?
Item shops, yeah. Item shops. So like all those like little themes that would come up when you go into things are not really present. But if I was going through Breath of the Wild and was listening to like a track that was playing like Hyrule Field the whole time while I was going through it, I actually don't think I would really like that. Because because you're exploring so much longer. That would feel so repetitive. Like they would have to make so much more music and for it to ever I don't know, for it to ever feel
You know,
good.
Skyward Sword was kind of like an active orchestra.
Yeah.
I feel like the best example would you maybe be able to find is like Frontiers' overworld music. I feel like that is something that they could have leaned into more. Where,
Frontiers
like,
is it's like evolving. Frontiers is
Yeah.
like the more you do in the land, the more things are like evolve, but then it resets when you get to a new island. So it's not necessarily.
Well, yeah, but I meant like the melody in those areas is a lot more interesting than some of the places that you generally are in Breath of the Wild. At least for the most part, what people have said.
I can't think of
Obviously, that's
anything.
subjective.
I can't think of anything interesting when it comes to the overworld music of Sonic Frontiers until like the end of the islands. Personally, where I was like, okay, now I feel this. This sounds pretty good.
Well, I mean, this is the first island, Kronos Island or whatever. Sounds pretty interesting when you first get there, or at least after.
I don't
you get,
know.
like, the first Emerald.
I like the silence in Breath of the Wild. I think it's like
It's
it
not
really-
bad, but like
it's like a breath of fresh air to me, where I can clear my head and I'm interacting with everything. I wish there was a little bit more variety. Yeah, it's like it focuses me more, and then when anything changes, like the battle music comes on, and you hear that little motif. It's like, all right, I'm on guard now. I can move faster now. Actually, that's one thing I didn't talk about. When you're in battle, you move faster. Like your crouches and your animations are faster. I completely forgot to say that. But
I don't know. I wish it was more memorable because I feel like after this, I'm never gonna think about the soundtrack again.
I think the soundtrack definitely feels better if once you just listen to the OST on its own. This is the same problem a lot of people had with Xenoblade 3's soundtrack, where like the like world or like map themes felt very like tame compared to the other games, and they got better on repeat listens because you actually got to like sit down and just pay attention to it more.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? Maybe your thoughts and opinions of it might change if you were to like listen to the soundtrack on your own, like on when you're just like working or it's at home or something.
Yeah.
I guess my only thing is the way that the game is currently designed. I can't see a way where I would really enjoy the music like it is in past Zelda games. I'm not saying the soundtrack is fantastic. I'm saying like it could have been better in a few places.
Yeah.
But the way that it's designed works for what it is. Like, I'm not saying it's as good as Twilight Princesses or Ocarina of Times or A Link to the Past or Link's Awakenings or any of these other Zelda games when I just listen to that music or when I'm playing it, when I'm listening to it while I'm playing it, but that I think it works for Breath of the Wild. Not that it's perfect. I think, like I said, it could be better in a few places. Like more variation. Like when you ride a horse, for example, there are different themes that you get during day and night. That you could have had stuff like that just happens in the overworld in between the silence. You know, things like that, where it just freshens things up for you. Maybe some more themes for the towns that are more memorable and set on melodic structure rather than just tiny little motifs that pop out while you're listening to them.
In games, I personally, what makes me nostalgic to a game is the music, and what makes me like more attached to it. Like when I listen to it again, I was because I've been making more content recently, and I've been using a lot of like the older Zelda music. It just brings back so many emotions of like childhood and all that stuff. I don't think I will feel that nostalgia for this game in say 15 years. Like in the same way, because I just love the music of those games. I think that plays a lot into the gameplay. Because think about Final Fantasy, like the music for Final Fantasy VII Remake.
It's one of my favorite soundtracks.
It is going to live with me forever. The emotions that it made me feel. I think that enhances gameplay significantly. I'm not saying
I agree.
The soundtrack was terrible. It wasn't terrible, but it was not nearly as memorable as a lot of the other ones.
I agree with that. It's definitely not going to stand out as far as the soundtrack goes, and definitely not standing against the other games, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. I miss the music. Like the musical instruments also is another thing that I do really miss.
Oh,
Like
just playing a musical instrument in general? Yeah, it's always been an element of Zelda that was oddly missing in this one, now that I think about it. It's been in like all of the Zelda games.
I don't think it's in Skyward Sword. I could be mistaken.
Yes, it is. The bow.
Oh, yeah.
Or the harp.
Yeah. Oops.
It's a big one.
Zelda, right? I think
I mean, it could be in this one.
It could be in Tears of the Kingdom, yeah. I mean, you have in the 2D ones too, you get the flute in A Link to the Past, you have all of the instruments in Link's Awakening, that's like the whole point. Obviously, the Ocarina of Time, you have the Ocarina in Majora's Mask. It's not as present in Twilight Princess, but there are still things that you can play, like you call your horse and stuff. Wolf, yeah, woo! You're replaying those songs from previous games as Wolf Link, like you said. Skyward Sword, it's huge. And then this one, there's nothing. As far as me, you have Cass, but it's not you, like who's playing some of the old songs that you find around. Who has that harpsichord or whatever it's called?
It's tiny critiques here and there. It's a great game. There's tiny critiques here and there that they could tweak, but that's why they can just make a new one, and it can be everything you want it to be, or it can be what they want it to be.
Which might line up. Yeah, it will be what they want it to be. Will it line up with what you want? Yeah.
The game comes out in like less than 2 hours.
Yep, an hour and 45 minutes.
In certain areas.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
It's been available in Australia for like plenty of time. But yeah.
20 hours.
Yeah.
22 hours.
But as far as my closing thoughts for this game, I went into Breath of the Wild, during my playthrough of it, like over all of these years, I ranked it like pretty low on my Zelda game tier list, and now it's one of my favorites.
Man,
after finishing it,
an enjoyer.
I didn't hate it. It's just that the elements that brought it down for me really brought it down, and then it wasn't until I could really dig into it. I still agree with my points while I was playing through it. Would they have affected me as much? I don't know. I know that other people
But they did.
Yeah, but they did.
Playing it.
Yeah. And maybe it's possible that if, the story was a little bit better, and the other criticisms that I had, it would have made me prioritize it over the other games, right? And it didn't. So I think those criticisms stand, and I don't think I'm the only one who has those criticisms. In fact, I know I'm not. I know that those things are hotly contested.
Yeah. I'm in full agreement with you. Like, there is a reason I stopped playing it.
Yeah. But when I came back to it, and after playing the rest of it in succession, and just fully comprehending and understanding the design of the game and appreciating it for what it is and how much it does right compared to like any other game on the market, I'm like, you know what? This is a damn good game.
Yeah.
This does so much well. It does so much better than so many other games that I've seen, and really reinvents the wheel in some ways, and it feels like Zelda to me. And it reminds me of
Zelda to me.
After playing Zelda 1, it feels like Zelda to me.
I never played one. Okay.
Imagine if you didn't play Zelda 1 before you played this, you'd have been like, what is this game? This ain't a Zelda game.
But I don't know. I guess like now it's one of my favorite Zeldas. And I think that Tears of the Kingdom could be one of my favorite games of all time. And this game really reminds me of why I love the series, or like partially of why I love the series. The other games have things that remind me why I love the series just as much. But there's an element of this game where the exploration aspects of it, the gameplay loop, your journey, the eureka moments you feel, the number of ways that you can tackle things, the creativity, that's a huge reason why I love the series. And this game does a lot of that stuff beautifully.
Definitely.
Probably one of the best, or if not the best, that the series has to offer as far as those elements go.
Especially creativity. There's no other Zelda I even remotely compares creativity wise. Because they're all more linear. There's always a way to do it, a specific way. This way, it's any way you want.
Unless you clip out and speedrun.
True.
But design-wise, yeah.
But see, this game, speedrunning is part of the design.
Yeah, exactly. But those are my closing thoughts. Love the game, and really looking forward to playing Tears of the Kingdom tomorrow. How about you guys?
I'm excited. I'm gonna probably cram in 4 or 5 hours in.
Yeah, it might be a pretty long stream day for me tomorrow too. Do you guys have like closing thoughts?
I'm excited. I just have to wait less than 2 hours, and I get to play.
On it.
Yeah, perspective changed a lot. Yeah,
It took me until you kind of egged me on to play it.
Yeah,
because I would have never played it if I didn't think to stream it. I would have never picked it up again, and then I would have missed out because I really enjoyed my time playing it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, with that being said, we're going to close off this episode of the Juicecast. If you enjoyed it, then definitely please subscribe, like it, and again, comment down below and follow along with timestamps. Do you agree or disagree with some of the stuff we said? Also, down below in the description, there'll be links to the social medias of both Friedrich with the Lux and Tux channel and Craftis. Do you want your Twitter shared, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
With his Twitter shared down there. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.
Thanks for having us.
Take care.
See you later.
Take care.
Oh, and bye stream. I'm gonna end the stream now. It's 10:30 almost. See you later.
Bye stream.
That's your longest stream, isn't it?